Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's the reigning Fortnite champion. She's a Call of Duty legend. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Perloff, Zach Edey is now a two-time unanimous All-American, the Purdue big man. I got to tell you, I've been disappointed by his college career when it comes to the NCAA tournament. Welcome to the show, by the way. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, March Madness upon us. And let me tell you what I mean here. You have a guy in Zach Edey who is probably the most famous college basketball player right now and definitely the most decorated college basketball player right now.
Clearly, on the men's side.
On the men's side.
An important caveat right there.
I know we have to say that now. We didn't used to have to say that now. We definitely have to say that.
True.
Thank you, Caitlin, and thank you, Angel Reese. So he's a Wooden Award winner. He's a Naismith Award winner. He's a 3-time Big Ten Player of the Year. And again, the 2-time unanimous All-American. And that's where the news that came out yesterday, and it really got me thinking. Have we had a multi-time unanimous All-American who has had this disappointing of a college career? And you can win regular season games, and that's all good. But let's go back. This is a guy who is this is his 4th year at Purdue, and he's been a 3-year starter. Now, we're not sure what he's going to do in this tournament, but let me just go back through tournaments past. His freshman year, granted, he was not a starter. This was one of the Purdue teams that lost to 13-seeded North Texas in the first round. He played 15 minutes in that game. He scored 0 points. Again, he was not a starter, so we'll put that freshman year aside. Sophomore year, Purdue, a 3 seed. They beat Yale. They beat Texas. Lost to St. Peter's, the 15 seed in the tournament. 7 field goal attempts for Zach Edey. He attempted 2 free throws and pulled down 2 rebounds. Then last year, his junior season, loses to 16-seeded Fairleigh Dickinson University, only the second time that a 1 seed has lost to a 16 seed. On top of that, FDU, Perloff, the shortest team in the tournament. And Zach Edey is 7'4" and like 250 pounds. He has won 2 tournament games in his entire college career so far. We'll see what happens in this tournament. But I'm telling you, a 2-time unanimous All-American. Can I tell you some of the other players who have been 2-time unanimous All-Americans? Patrick Ewing, Bill Walton, Larry Bird, Christian Laettner, Tim Duncan. I'll give you Tyler Hansbrough is one of the most recent. Zach Edey is not in this conversation. You can either look at this as this is the amount of pressure that he's had, or I think so far his college career has been a disappointment.
What's different about Zach Edey and all those names you just mentioned? That Zach Edey's playing in 2024. Take out Tyler Hansbrough. The rest of those guys are 60 years ago. Obviously, I think the fact that he came back and played again is an obvious sign of weakness. And that's why I don't think people are putting those kind of expectations on.
He's a unanimous All-American.
Yeah, right. If he was any good, he would have been in the NBA, right? That's how we view these players. If you come back, will you admit that people think, oh, he can't be that good, he came back? That's why I think and everyone knows Zach Edey's not that good because he's not he's 7'4" and weighs 300 pounds, is bigger than everybody. And the fact that he's not already in the NBA, I think lowers the expectations on him. Also, too, we know his backstory a little bit. Last year was a big deal. He didn't learn basketball until really late. It's kind of like Joel Embiid was at Kansas. Who is really good, but I don't know if Embiid had any tournament success either. I just think we view this as a different situation. In fact, it's a sign of weakness that he's a two-time first-team All-American. Like if he was a really good first-team All-American, he would have been gone. So I'm not seeing people saying Zach Edey's going to be a huge bust if he doesn't do. Everyone, I think, is pointing to their coach, Matt Painter, because that team that lost in the first round, to St. Peter's.
Yeah.
That was the Jaden Ivey disappointment game. Yep. Nobody was mad at Zach Edey. Jaden Ivey, who ended up being
in that game.
Yeah, he scored 9 points. Yeah. He was supposed to be he was a number 5 overall pick. He was supposed to single-handedly win that game, not Edey. Last year, Edey, obviously, that was a total meltdown. But the other thing, too, is you are discounting this year. What about this year? This is the best Zach Edey we've ever seen. He's learning the game. How do you know he's not going to be good this year?
Well, this is the opportunity in front of him, because if there's another early exit here for Purdue, we can talk about Matt Painter and his future, the coach of the team. But if there's another early exit here, and I'm saying early, like before the Elite Eight, there has to be more games won here by Zach Edey, or else I think his career goes down as one of the all-time disappointments, because you can say, all right, he doesn't have NBA aspirations, or we don't expect him to be really good on the NBA front. But we're talking about college now. And we're talking about every award under the sun is going to this player that is going to be an afterthought when we think about college basketball. You're going to have a guy who's going to be one of the most decorated college basketball players we've seen on the men's side, and he's going to he's going to not belong on this list.
Right, but that list is not modern. That's old time. Now everybody goes pro. So you're talking about Bill Walton. There wasn't one and done back in 1969.
Right.
So I just don't think, like, we don't view college players the same. You're kind of ignoring the state of college basketball. There just aren't college stars like that anymore. And if you stick around till your senior year, you're obviously not that great a player.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true, because EJ's Gonzaga Bulldogs have had guys who have stuck around a little longer.
Who are not good.
Okay.
Drew Timme, like, what's he doing in the NBA?
No, not.
Hey.
But I'm just saying there are, like, if you have these many awards, I should be able to say, and you do stay, and that is different. Shouldn't I be able to say, you can't tell the story of college basketball without this person? And I don't think anyone's saying that about Zach Edey.
Sid Seiler-Hansbrough, name a player who you has to be part of the college basketball story. That's the college basketball story, in a sense, kind of ended with the modern setup. Now that you can't tell the story of basketball without telling the fact that all the good players go to the G League or in Europe. I mean, it's just a different sport than back then. And that's why I don't think anyone is really waiting for. First of all, Zach Edey wasn't a high school star,
right?
So we never. It's
From
not
Toronto.
like growing expectations. I actually saw footage last night of him in high school in Florida. He went to IMG Academy. I mean, he was learning how to play the game. He was a big, soft kid out of Toronto who played hockey and baseball. It's just different. He didn't grow up with that expectations. He wasn't a high school superstar. We know the high school superstars. So I think these expectations are coming, but college basketball is different. It's not Patrick Ewing. It's not Ralph Sampson. It's not that kind of big guy. And we know also the big guy cannot dictate the pace in the tournament. Last year, Zach Edey never touched the ball in the last 9 minutes of that loss.
I know,
because it's a guard-driven tournament.
Okay, but Perloff, a guard-driven tournament, he's 7'4".
Yeah, but there's a
the
bunch of 7-foot guys who are probably getting knocked out early in this tournament. You can't do much as a 7-footer in the sport anymore.
Then you shouldn't be a unanimous All-American. If you can get fronted by FDU, the shortest team, at some point, EJ had a good line yesterday where basketball is a team sport, but we don't treat it that way. Because if you are a superstar, we expect a lot from you. And Zach Edey is now a superstar and has been because of all the accolades he's getting. And yet there's no impact when it actually matters, which is in the tournament.
Right.
And so to me, it just leaves a lot to be desired with him. And I think it also ratchets the pressure up. If anyone cares, if he cares, I don't know. But it ratchets the pressure up because of the failures of Purdue, number one recently, and then the failures of him to leave his stamp on this tournament. And that's what this is about. And so just because guys go pro now, I'm talking here now. I'm talking about someone who came back and somebody who's, national player of the year twice, likely. And we can say, wow, college basketball would be the absolute same without him and with him.
I can't even name, go down the list of recent national players of the year. I probably can't name any off the top of my head because it's not the days of Chris Webber and Bobby Hurley and even Mateen Cleaves and Khalid Al-Amin and all these players. It's not a star-driven sport anymore. Now it's a team-driven sport. Maybe with NIL that'll come back to that. But who was 2 years ago? Who was the player of the year?
I think it was Ochai Agbaji.
Again,
I'm
can you
just
tell the
saying,
story
you
of
asked me,
college?
I'm giving you the
Yeah, can you
answer.
tell the story of college basketball?
He's not
without
a
him?
two-time.
And even the big men, it's also a function of centers too.
Yeah.
Do we really expect centers to dominate this tournament? There are a lot of tall guys in this tournament, and we're not really looking at them.
No, but
not like the old days. In the old days, it was a center-driven sport. I'm old enough to remember Hakeem and Patrick Ewing facing off in the famous tip. And that was what the sport was. Now it's not that way at all. There's a ton of 7-footers in this tournament. Nobody's talking about any of them.
Okay, but if you are bigger and now older than everybody, this is the advantage that Edey has. He's bigger and he's older. And
UConn's pretty old. They have a bunch of 22, 23-year-olds too.
Well, they've also remade the team a bit since last year's championship team. I think are we looking at the best player and somebody who deserves all these awards, or are we looking at the guy who's the biggest and the oldest?
Yeah, I don't think that we're really. I don't think, at least I don't view Zach Edey that way. And honestly, the headline: if they lose, who's going down?
Probably Matt Painter, because Edey's going to be gone.
And I think everyone's going to. I think they'll give Zach Edey the benefit of the doubt because of Matt Painter as well. I think there's a lot going on here. By the way, I do think Zach Edey will be a pro, but it's just such a different sport because somehow with the 3-point line, people have discovered you can neutralize gigantic inside players, and you just
yet Rudy Gobert continues to get paid.
Yeah, I know. And the tournament, we saw it last year. You just confront him, let him not get the ball. The guards kind of step up at this time of year to me. So I'm not going to kill him if they lose early. And by the way, they're number one seed. Virginia lost in the first round and came back and won it all the next year. Let's not count out the Boilermakers completely, Maggie.
Yeah, this is not the day to bring up UVA. They scored about 40 points last night, the first 4, which I appreciate because I was able to go to bed.
Yeah, well, just a team like UVA can have the lowest lows and the highest highs. Maybe Purdue will follow in their footsteps. Honestly, the reason they might not, Matt Painter. I don't think it's Zach Edey. I think we're not looking at Zach Edey like that.
I'm just saying, if you told somebody, and don't even say the player's name, don't even say the school, don't say any of that. Say you got somebody who, because of the awards they've gotten, should go down as one of the all-time greatest college basketball players, and they have 2 wins in the tournament so far and 3 losses to double-digit seeds. You'd be like, I'm sorry, that something about that does not compute.
But how much of that is some of maybe the bias that Edey has with him being 7'4"? Like, it goes back to when you're playing grade school ball, when you see the biggest kid on the court,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, of course that guy should dominate, or that girl should dominate. She's bigger than everybody. Like, if Edey had these kind of numbers, these kind of accolades, and his coach was the coach that he is, Matt Painter, who I love as a regular season coach, but he just is not a good tournament coach. Will we really look at them and say, hey, this person really didn't live up to the hype? Or will we say, hey, is Matt Painter who didn't take advantage of the stars that he's been able to develop?
Well, Perloff thinks it'd be more about Painter. I think at some point the player also has to take, we'll see what he does in this tournament. That's, I think, is a lot of pressure on him if he actually, does want to be remembered as one of the great college basketball players. If he doesn't, then who cares? But for people who love the sport and people who want to say, wow, like this is somebody who, if you want to put the plaques up on the wall, looks like they are dominating, and you don't see dominance. Now, to be fair, he's really improved his footwork. He's got some soft touch around the basket. There are things that he does really well. I get that. But in this sport, I think you're judged a lot by what you do in the tournament.
Honestly, I think Jaden Ivey, to me, Jaden Ivey was a bigger disappointment because that team had the path to go all the way, and he was a truly great player. Like, he was clearly going to be a future pro, where Edey is a little different to me. Edey's one of these big guys. By the way, if you look, you're talking about the story of college basketball, the men's college player of the year has become a bit of an anonymous award. Just a definition of, because you stick around and you're bigger and stronger, you're not, the outstanding players are leaving. Zach Edey, Oscar Schwebe, Luke Garza is very similar to Zach Edey. Luke Garza did, and also I don't think he did much in the tournament either at Iowa. Obi Toppin, who didn't get a chance. It generally, Frank Kaminsky won it, Doug McDermott, the guys who I don't think
went to the final.
Yeah, but I mean, you could tell the story of college basketball very easily without my guy, Frank Kaminsky. I love Frank, but
Frank the Tank.
I'm just saying, like, the story of college basketball is that the days of Bill Walton and the people you were talking, Patrick Ewing and Ralph Sampson, the gigantic superstar college basketball players, that's not a thing anymore. Is it? I mean, are we going to... When's the last big star? I think it might have been Tyler Hansbrough, who you mentioned.
Well, Zion won in 2019.
Right, but 1 year and done, and he did nothing in the tournament.
Yeah, it went to the 8, I think.
If you're here, if you're staying, if you are bigger than everybody, if he's different than those guys, he should be the only thing we talk about in college basketball. This should be his tournament. It's not going to be.
Right, but the reason why we're not talking about him, I feel like, isn't... Some of it is him because I don't think his style of play is very, appealing to the eye. But some of it is also because I don't think anybody believes in his team.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's so much of a him thing. Because Matt Painter has had other players. He's had Robbie Hummel. He's had Jaden Ivey. He's had other star players that we all thought, all right, this is the time. Purdue's going to finally do it. And Carson Edwards. And for some reason, they just can't do it. And I think part of the reason why we all kind of said, okay, 29 wins, we're not paying attention, who cares, is because we kind of pencil Purdue to win 29 games a year, and then not just not make the Final Four,
Flame
flop.
out. Yeah.
Flop in the Sweet 16, flop in the second round, flop in the first round. So some of the stuff of, kind of if a tree falls in the forest, do we see it with Zach Edey, I think is because we just don't believe in the Purdue program.
And also, I don't think we believe in big men anymore. That's you. I mean, is anyone looking at their bracket and say, wow, they got the better center? I just don't. All I hear is guard play, and wings and 3-pointers. I just no, we don't expect the center to win, do we? And in the NBA, is the same way.
Well,
stupid Wemby.
UConn had a good front court and a big front court last year.
But that's definitely not why we like them. I don't think.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Zach Edey, has he been a disappointment in his college career? You are welcome to weigh in. I say yes. Perloff says it's more about Matt Painter in the Purdue program. I think you and EJ are kind of aligned on that one.
I think that'd be an interesting poll, but it's kind of hard to put out because we don't know what's going to happen. So how would you word that?
Up until this point.
Up until this point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to win that one.
I don't think so. I don't think you're going to win that one.
Okay.
I don't think people view Zach Edey as a disappointment. He's kind of a Cinderella story because he learned the sport, in real time in front of our eyes. Yeah, I mean, and you're right. He's going to be 2-time Naismith Player of the Year. That's a disappointment.
I mean, he's got 2 tournament wins and 3 losses to double-digit seeds. You lose to FDU.
Put it up there, EJ.
You lose to 2 double-digit seeds from New Jersey. That is a rough look.
I mean, that's the story of the NCAA tournament in recent years. Those little New Jersey teams are beating everybody.
I know. They Princeton last year, right?
Yeah, and Kentucky's been losing all those teams too.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in. Something really kind of snuck up on us this morning. We'll get to that in a moment. I was taken off guard.
What?
I'll tell you in a minute.
I have no idea.
Hold tight. Maggie and Perloff. Again, you're welcome to join the show. 855-212-4CBS. We say good morning to our CBS Sports Radio affiliates. We appreciate you so much. You can always listen to us on the absolutely free to download Odyssey app. It's crystal clear. Sirius XM channel 158. And if you'd like to watch the show, where Perloff and I are almost matching today, not fully matching, almost matching. So we're back on our schedule.
It's a little Navy versus black situation.
Yeah, come and watch us. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. All right, Maggie, you teased a big surprise. What did you come in today and were shocked to see?
Well, let's go.
He is the most amazing man in baseball. Here is what Shohei Ohtani did today.
Playing baseball. For real. Totally snuck up on me that today is actually opening day. Happy opening day, Perloff.
No, I don't count this. This is like the first four in college basketball. This is not opening day.
Happy opening day, everybody.
Nope.
They're playing actual baseball that actually counts today. It's in Seoul, South Korea. Ohtani's already 0 for 1, but took a couple good hacks, good cuts. It's baseball season. It's here.
No,
this
it
counts.
It does not. It might count in the standings, but anybody who counts this as real baseball, this is ridiculous. And it shows why baseball is lame now. Can you imagine if the NFL started 2 weeks before in some other continent? Come on.
Wait a minute.
Come on, baseball. The opening day, you should keep it sacred and have it like be a big deal. Not start a week early.
Your team is opening the season in Brazil.
What? It's not even the first game, though. It's a Friday. Yeah.
Isn't it the first game?
No, I think it's Thursday is the first game, then they're playing Friday.
Okay, it's the first weekend. The Eagles' home opener is technically happening in Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
Different continent, same exact thing.
That's the Friday. There's a Thursday game, then there's Friday, then there's Sunday. At least it's all opening weekend. This is a week before. I remember playing fantasy baseball and how annoying this was. This is lame. That
Guys,
baseball
happy
does it.
opening day.
Does anyone else here view this as opening day?
Absolutely not.
This is opening day. We should get some hot dogs. Dexter's here.
No
Let's get.
excitement.
It's
for this,
not.
none.
Can we drink beer on the air?
No.
It's a little early.
If you view this as opening day, then you've given up on baseball.
Guys, we came in.
Play
Amy
it hard.
Lawrence had the sound up playing the national anthem, just for the pride of it.
No, I can't do this. I can't do this. Like, and, they're gonna play more spring training games after this.
Well,
How does that make any sense?
'Cause the
You're gonna
time
go play
difference.
you're gonna play a regular season games, 3 games that count to the regular season.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna go back and play. The Dodgers got 3 more games in the spring training schedule against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, or now they're just LA Angels. Like, no,
EJ,
this is not.
it's baseball. You got to stay in a rhythm. You can't just take a week off.
No,
That's
if
how
they're
you
gonna
lose the
stay in a
World
rhythm,
Series.
then they should keep playing. They should play a 6-game set. They should play in Korea. then they should come back and they should play more regular season games. Their spring training should be over.
You know,
they
it's
can't go back and play exhibition. That's like almost getting like a mulligan. You can say, oh, you know what? We don't like how we played in those first 3 games of the season. Let's get some more practice.
We'll work out the kinks. This is kind of reminds me a little bit of we were really lucky to go on our honeymoon to Thailand, and it was great. It was amazing. It was a trip of a lifetime. But in retrospect, we should have hit a couple other countries while we were over there, because how often are you going to be in that part of the world?
Yep.
You're right. They should have done a little bit of a tour here. Start in Seoul, maybe go do some games somewhere else.
Yeah.
Really make it count.
It's a division rival, so you got to play this team a couple times anyway. Play 2 series. You can't go back to playing, or you should just be done. You cannot go back to spring training. That is ridiculous.
Happy opening day, everyone.
Yeah, you can't
back up the hot dog cart.
You can't start and go back to spring training. Like
Does the NBA do this too? I feel like they have some meaningless international games.
They do international games, but they don't have it where you're playing a regular season game and they're going back to preseason.
It's in the middle of the season.
And usually they're in the middle of the season. They've been playing games in Mexico City recently, and they usually do every year a game in London. The Nets play there a lot for some reason, and the Pistons do too. But that's usually like in January.
They do a lot of
December.
preseason over there too.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Preseason was in Abu Dhabi this year.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, they'll do those.
And they've gone to China for preseason, right? Or
Yes.
Because I think there was an issue
preseason
there where
keyword preseason, like this.
Pete, you wanted to say something about this.
Oh, hi. Yes. Let's just take it all in. It's on right now. There's actually live games on when we're up doing this program.
All right, let's bet.
Let's take it all in. Look, I bet on Shohei Ohtani to hit a home run.
There we go. That's getting in the spirit.
Here we go.
Yes.
Let's go. Come on.
Stay with us.
Yeah, look, it's 2 games. They're on a regular season schedule. Have fun with it.
You know, I got to be honest, that's an upset for Bilotti. You're such a traditionalist. I thought you would hate this.
Well, it's better than watching the news.
But we have the news for you. We've got headlines. Dexter Henry's in with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Good morning. We got some good things to talk about in the first 2 games of the 2024 NCAA tournament. They are in the books. First 4 went down on Tuesday night, and in the first game, one school made history.
Here comes Howard. Towns steps back, goes to Hairston.
No
left
foul.
wing 3, left it short. Rebound Dockery with 5 seconds. Hairston great on 3. He was bumped. Kick out Dockery. 3 on the way. No, it's short. 3 chances for Howard, and that's the buzzer. Wagner survives.
That audio courtesy of Westwood One. How about the Wagner Seahawks? Staten Island School in New York made an improbable run to the big dance with a roster of 7 healthy players. Now, after their 71-68 victory over Howard in the first 4, the 16-seeded Seahawks will advance to play in the West region, where they're going to battle North Carolina on Thursday in Charlotte. And Wagner head coach Donald Copeland, he said it's not going to be easy trying to knock off UNC.
We're going to have to figure out a good schedule that gets these guys rest and as prepared as they can, because we also have a quick turnaround with an early game. So, and it couldn't be against a tougher opponent. You know, North Carolina, blue blood program, you know, you definitely want to be as prepared as you can to face those guys, especially in their own state, you know.
So now we got to talk about the second game of the first 4. That featured Colorado State.
Oof.
Do we have
and Virginia. We got to. This was awful.
No, this was for all the people who didn't think that UVA should have made it into the field. You were rewarded last night because you were right. And UVA, when it's bad, it is so bad.
And this was bad.
I can't imagine. I don't think there's another college basketball team that's like this.
No, not currently. There was a well, I thought it was an awesome shirt that was in the stands from a Colorado State fan that said Virginia basketball is Iowa football. And it was in the green and gold color scheme of the Colorado State fans. So I'm like, first of all, I'm like, wow, you got a Colorado State issued slight at Iowa football and Virginia basketball. Like, it's quite the feat there. At the Under Armour logo and everything.
Also, the bracket came out on Sunday. That's a quick turnaround on Tuesday to have that shirt printed.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know if that was a team issue thing where they printed it out quickly, but that was the picture at the end of this game while I'm watching. Colorado State 58, Virginia 32. Like it was pathetic.
Yeah.
Absolutely pathetic. And they shouldn't have been in the field.
They should not have been. I'm with you, EJ. They shouldn't have been there. You mentioned it. Selected by the committee. People thought it was a controversial selection. And look, how bad was the offense? Well, pretty bad. So here's how it goes. Cavaliers star Reese Beekman sank 2 free throws with 9:20 left in the first half. Virginia would not score again until Beekman's jumper with 16:37 to play in the contest. The drought included 19 consecutive missed shots. That spanned 13:53 of game time, 59 minutes of real time, which also included a 20-minute halftime.
So UVA has not won a tournament game since they won it all.
Yeah.
And that was in 2018, 2019. So they lose the first ever one seed to lose to a 16, UMBC. We all remember that. Yep. The next year they come back and win the tournament. They went out. They didn't make the tournament the year after they won. Sorry, that was COVID.
Yeah.
Pardon me. That was canceled. They lost in the first round in the 2020, 2021. Didn't make the tournament the next year. Lost in the first round the next year, and then just lost last night. Ouch.
This is who they are.
It's like Eli Manning of college basketball teams. You either win it all or you don't win a game.
Absolutely.
I love that. But this is who they are, though. This is their last 4 losses: 41 points against Virginia Tech, 44 points against North Carolina, 48 points against Duke, and then 65 points against NC State in an overtime game. It's like, what did we expect? And like, this was one of the few, actually, it's as bad as the game was last night. I actually watched this entire thing, and I enjoyed it. I was thoroughly entertained because I love being right. And I love being accurate with what I'm talking about. And I told everybody this was going to happen.
You're sweating the 66 team in the tournament here. I mean, what is it really at the end of the day? Does it matter
if
one of your Big East teams have got in?
Jabbar, and we didn't
Well,
because these
Indiana State
clowns
would be
got
great.
into the tournament.
But don't make, just because we didn't see Seton Hall there, who cares? It's a play-in tournament, right?
Indiana State should have been in this field.
Well, that would have been awesome.
They would not have scored 42 points in a do-or-die tournament game. Absolutely not. And it's a shame that we had to see this, even though we've seen Virginia do this for a month.
I got to be honest. I put the play-in tournament, whatever you call it, the first four, right there with the opening day overseas.
In South Korea.
It is, because my wife asked me last night, in a panic, she said, oh my gosh, she has a work bracket, and she has the Maggie and Perloff bracket we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
And she said, oh my God, do I have to get my bracket in by Tuesday? I'm like, no one does it that way because these don't really count. You have to do it by Thursday. So what does that say? The fact that nobody even has to fill out their bracket with these games. They're not real games. To me, they're totally irrelevant. And I kind of don't like that about them.
But we have we do have teams that have advanced very far coming out of this game.
Actually, flip side, there's only been 1 year where a team who was in the first 4 didn't win a tournament game.
Right.
So it does help. I think it helps with the warm-up, get the nerves out a little bit, get used to the travel, whatever it is. But the first game was fun. It's just weird. You have one team with 7 healthy players, and it was the other team who couldn't find their legs in the last seconds to hit a 3 when they had 3 chances and 3 looks.
Yeah, I mean, I think these games are the opposite of fun. I'm not. Yeah, don't you guys want that? Whatever.
Yeah,
anyway,
we're never going to convince you on this one. What else we got?
I've never watched the first 4 games until last night. Everyone's like, you got to tune into this game, and then I watched 5 minutes of Virginia, and I was like, this is horrible.
It's like back to Nets Pels.
I understand why you tuned out. I understand. Now, for those wondering, Virginia did not win this game. They only scored 42 points. Colorado got 62. Putting things in perspective and put a bow on this, Cavaliers, they had 42 total points in this game. As you mentioned, the Rams, they scored 40 of their 67 points in the second half.
They're asking in the chat, Pete, how much did you bet on this game? Would you be comfortable that Shohei was going to hit a home run? Daly thinks you put 35 cents on it. Are you comfortable sharing your betting slips with America?
$20.
$20 that Shohei's going to hit a home run?
Yeah.
Love it.
What kind of odds you get?
I'm something nervous for you.
Plus 225.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Nice odds.
For a home run?
Yeah.
It's a season opener.
No, I'm just saying, I wouldn't think it'd be
Coming
even
off an
higher.
elbow
What are the odds of hitting a home run?
Shohei Ohtani is the most tremendous player ever to ever grace the field. That's why.
Plus 225 feels kind of, I would think it'd be higher. What are the odds of a guy hitting a home run in every game? I don't think you're winning, Pete.
I don't think so either.
I'm gonna go.
I bet it. That's why.
What are Ohtani's numbers against you, Darvish? I'm sorry. Back to you, Dex.
All right, no problem. We're going to go over to the association. The Cleveland Cavaliers are going to be without their star guard, Donovan Mitchell. He will miss at least 1 week after having surgery Tuesday to repair a nasal fracture. And last night, the Joker, he moved his team closer to the top spot in the Western Conference. Nikola Jokic scored a game-high 35, hauled in 16 boards. Michael Porter Jr., 13 of his 26 in the fourth quarter. The Nuggets, they held off the Timberwolves 115 to 112. And with that victory, Denver moved within percentage points of idle Oklahoma City for the Western Conference lead. The Timberwolves, they drop a game back into third place. Also, Jalen Green, he had a 42-piece on Tuesday night. Rockets, they won their 6th straight game. They blasted the Wizards, who never win, 137 to 114. And last thing for me, guys, remember the docuseries Quarterback that dropped last summer on Netflix? Everybody remembers that, right?
I watched it.
You watch it? I didn't watch anything of that. Anybody else watch it?
I watched it. It was pretty good.
It was
I watched
pretty good.
the first 2 episodes, yeah.
It was pretty good. Marcus Mariota disappeared at the end, which is
Like
kind of
real
weird.
life.
Like in real life, and he disappeared from the dock too.
I just think that, to me, the takeaway was Kirk Cousins not doing football on Tuesday. That was weird.
Kirk Cousins has his routines. He will be at Barnes & Noble on a Tuesday, so he's got to find a new Barnes & Noble now in Atlanta.
Yeah, he'll have to find one there. Well, since you guys watched Quarterback, the creators of it, they're back with a new 8-episode series where pass catchers are going to take center stage, and it's called Receiver. And it's from NFL Films, Omar Productions, 2 PM Productions. Peyton Manning is the executive producer of this project that will tell the stories of 5 NFL receivers throughout their 2023 season. Now, who are the 5 receivers? Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Receiver.
It's too bad they couldn't get any good receivers in that list. No. Jeez.
Who are you most interested in?
That's what I was gonna ask.
I know you love Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra puts it all out there on his podcast, though. I don't know that I need to see him, but probably Amon-Ra St. Brown, because that St. Brown family is obviously insane and awesome. But the Devontae Adams, like, he doesn't strike me as he does anything except go to the gym and go home. I don't know. Have you ever heard?
Be in Taco Bell
He's
commercials?
kind of serious. He's a very serious
Right.
guy.
Like that one. Justin Jefferson's fun. We've interviewed him a few times. He was great. To me, who's your guy?
I think the person who's probably going to stand out the most is probably Kittle,
That's what I was
because he hams it up.
Yeah.
And he's basically doing WWE stuff and setting up for that probably second career. I think we're going to get some fun stuff from Deebo, because I think Deebo Samuel is the kind of guy who people love for reality TV shows because they can't help but be who they are. Like, I don't think Deebo can put up a front. I think he's just going to be who he is. And those people are generally the best reality TV participants.
Now, I'm assuming did they chronicle them already, or did they chronicle them from last season? Because if it was
from last season.
So if it was last season, I mean, Jettas would have been in my pick, but he was hurt all of last year. So I don't know how much we'll get from that, though it might be interesting trying to see him get on the page with 4 different quarterbacks. Like, that would be kind of fun.
Introducing himself to
hi, I'm Justin Jefferson,
Joshua Dobbs.
all-pro receiver, Josh Dobbs. Like, that maybe that probably be interesting, but if he's hurt, unless maybe we'll learn about how seriously hurt he was, because he missed a lot of time. Maybe that would be interesting, but I agree with Maggie. I think Deebo would be quite fun. He was taking shots at, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They had a whole thing back and forth midseason, so seeing that play out would be cool.
That's another guy. It's not like it's hard to get access to Deebo's thoughts. He's sharing them left and right. Remember, he came after my Eagles again, and Lane Johnson. But I have a question. So they filmed them last year, and they're just announcing it now. That's how this is? So they've been secretly filming these guys, and we had no idea?
Yeah, that's how they did it with Mahomes and with Kirk Cousins.
Right. We didn't remember at all. But, I mean, somebody must have noticed the camera crews following.
You would think so, right? Somebody had to.
NFL Films, there's so many cameras and so much access. They might be able to just blend in. Like, they might be like, oh, I guess that makes sense now. You're being followed a lot. But
a lot of it's at their homes, too. And
which you wouldn't have access to. Right.
Patrick Mahomes, for example, last year, I remember there was a part where he takes his kids to like an amusement park or something in Kansas City. Maybe it's like a petting zoo. I forgot what it was, but they shut down the whole place for him.
Really?
Yeah. How could Patrick Mahomes can't just go to like a random amusement park in Kansas City? That'd be such an awful experience for him. He'd be hounded by people asking for photos.
I think the receivers will have a little more access to things. I don't think you shut down things for Devontae Adams in Vegas.
Well, he has enough. Oh, yeah, probably. So we're going to shut down Cirque du Soleil just for you. They come right to your living room.
I don't think the receivers are the biggest stars by definition as a quarterback. Yeah, and Justin Jefferson, can he go out to dinner in Minnesota? Probably not. I don't know.
Maybe
I don't think so.
Back room.
I don't think so. Justin Jefferson.
Remember when Tim Tebow was here and he talked
exit?
about how he could never, he hasn't been able to go out to dinner. He still can't go out to dinner.
Yeah.
I think the quarterbacks, it's a little harder for them to live their lives. That's why I'm really curious about this. Like, what's it like to be a receiver? What the heck does Devontae Adams do for 7 days
Tuesday.
a week? I have no idea.
Are they going to do all positions with this? Like, are we going to do kickers? Are we I
don't think you go past the skill positions, right?
Okay. Also, I don't think they would have even gone to receivers if more quarterbacks had said yes.
Yes, I agree with that.
That was a big issue
because that's more interesting.
Running backs might be good. Saquon,
I can see that.
I'd love to see punters just to see the ratings or the views.
Thomas Morstead is a big social media guy.
Punters maybe coming soon. But receiver set to drop this summer on Netflix. That's it for me, guys.
Dexter, thank you so much. Coming up, what's at stake today for some of the NFL's top prospects? We'll get to that next. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. The show's on pins and needles because Shohei Ohtani is up to bat in what is opening day right now in South Korea. And our own Pete Bellotti has a $20 bet whether Shohei will win an opening day home run. And he is now
Right.
a 1-1 count with 2 outs in the top of the 3rd inning against Yu Darvish.
Let's see if this guy's really a star.
I can't really I'm not allowed to do play-by-play. That's a little foreboding. But we'll let you know. Oh, foul. Okay. Welcome back to the show. We'll let you know if Pete wins his bet. Perloff, 2 huge pro days going on around the country today. I know you're keeping an eye on.
Well, potentially. So Ohio State and USC, there's a report Caleb Williams will throw, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is, as always, a total mystery. Will he do anything? There was a report from Ian Rappaport that he's not going to do anything physical. He was kind of a no-show at the Combine. He's a man of mystery. Unlikely that he'll run a 40 is what people are saying. So the 40 is less valuable now because they have the chips that measure actual game time speed for college football. So you wouldn't think they even run the 40. And Marvin Harrison had big numbers. But you're kidding yourself, Maggie Gray, if you think that NFL scouts who've come up in this industry don't still care about the 40 because you know that they draft off the 40. It's just a fact. And Malik Nabers, who's now rumored by many to be the number 1 receiver, if he runs a 4.3 next week at LSU and Marvin Harrison doesn't run, some teams are going to say, ooh, I don't know.
Okay,
and you know that's how it's going to work.
First off, Ohtani just singled to right. So, yeah. Pete, you're going to have to wait for the next AB. Pete has a $20 bet that Ohtani's going to homer in this game that's being played right now in South Korea. It's opening day. See, this is where I disagree with you, though, about the wide receivers. Like, you have Marvin Harrison Jr. This is where the draft process, like, kind of infuriates me a bit. We all watch Marvin Harrison. He caught passes from multiple different quarterbacks. He was amazing. He was, at times, felt like a one-man offense.
Yep.
He so separated himself in college football. So now, because he's not going to run a 40, or let's say he did run the 40, and say it came in, a couple tenths of a second off of what Malik Nabers is.
Ooh.
Nabers is awesome, too. I'm not saying he's not. But this is where the draft process is, it can get too nitpicky. What did we see in the game? What did we see in the game? We saw Marvin Harrison being incredible. A couple tenths of a second on a 40 time, to me, is the least indicator of what kind of professional he's going to be.
Yeah, but NFL doesn't want these big guys anymore. And Marvin Harrison, he's not huge, but it's not the style receiver they're going for because you could be a little guy and the rules protect you. So I don't think Marvin Harrison, 10 years ago, Marvin Harrison would have been Calvin Johnson. Right. I'm not sure. Calvin Johnson is obviously unique, but I just not sure that's who the NFL, every team wants anymore. It's like Marvin. Also, Marvin Harrison did disappear at times, I think in large part because of the quarterback there in Ohio State.
Right.
But he wasn't consistently awesome.
McCourty was not that.
Yeah,
but again, like you go back to the Michigan game, he was making some huge plays in that game.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. I was shocked when Daniel Jeremiah, the NFL Network guy, came out and said Nabers is number 1 on a lot of people's boards. Nabers can fly. Don't you agree that wide receivers will move up if they run a fast 40? Brian Thomas Jr., the other receiver at LSU, just killed at the Combine. And now, at least in mock draft world, which is only mock draft world, doesn't mean anything. He's moving way up. Everybody's talking about him in the second half of the first round where you didn't really see it. He was kind of a drops guy at LSU, but now he's so fast, coaches are like, ooh, give me that.
Okay, but what about the fastest guy to run, right? Well, before... was it
John Ross?
Texas.
Yeah, he went number 9.
John Ross went number 9, and what happened? That's a bad pick.
I understand, but the NFL scouts repeat the same mistakes over and over again.
Well, now it's the scouts and the GMs. I just think that if you've seen the difference also between just straight ahead 40 speed, and you've also seen the difference between game speed. Yeah. And to me, the game speed is so much more important. And it's also, think about it, when you get to the NFL, first of all these guys are fast. It's the, can you catch a pass and can you turn on the jets, right? And are you able to, get those yards after catch? Can you be a burner, but also do you have the sure hands? Can you be a contested catch guy? There's so much more that goes into this than just your 40 speed. And again, Marvin Harrison, he's got the tape. We said if he had come out last year, he could have been a top 5 pick. Why would that all of a sudden change?
Well, he's still going to be. Listen, if Nabers goes 4, then Harrison goes 5 or 6. It's not a huge difference. I still think Harrison goes higher, but I think it's a preference.
Right.
I think people view Malik Nabers as the next Jamar Chase. And listen, they might view Marvin Harrison as closer to Mike Williams, who also went top 10, who's a big guy. Do you really want a possession receiver in the top 10? I don't think Marvin Harrison is that, but I'll bet you some teams are like, ooh, I don't know if I really want that. I want a guy who can be a possession receiver, but also can kill you down the field, and that might be Nabers more than Harrison. Also Harrison, he's big and tall and skinny Is he going to be able to dominate physically like he did at college? There are questions. I was surprised. We were both surprised that all of a sudden Malik Nabers is the guy because it was Marvin Harrison forever. But I think the speed is an issue. If Nabers comes out and runs a 4.30 next week and Marvin Harrison doesn't run at all, I think there will be some GMs who will be like, I wonder.
Oh my gosh. I hope that GM's not the GM of my team. I really do, because it would be so short-sighted. Like, first of all, we know Nabers is fast. You don't even need his 40 time. What is that going to do? We already know he's great. To me, again, it's all about the game speed. I wouldn't fool myself with the 40. This feels like a mistake, you're right, that was made 20 years ago that we should be smarter about now.
Absolutely, but 40 does show explosiveness. It's all these drills.
Sure.
I mean, look, Aaron Donald's retiring this week. He went out and killed the drills, and all of a sudden woke up the NFL like, whoa, we should go back to this tape.
Yeah, but he was also coming out of Pitt, and he was undersized. So it was kind of like, wow,
Yeah, I mean, Malik Nabers is the same kind of thing. He was a little bit undersized.
Okay, but we have this great season that he just put together.
Aaron Donald had an amazing season.
I know. So what are we saying? What
I think the testing can push you up. It's just a fact.
Okay, but a 40 time for a wide receiver, to me, that should be the last test.
Right. Well,
that matters.
40, there are only two positions to run the 40, the cornerback and the wide receiver. Right. Everybody else.
Yeah, the fact that the offensive linemen even run it just underscores how stupid it is.
Yeah, I think you're totally right in theory, and I absolutely agree with you, but I think reality is that teams care about the 40, especially the wide receivers and the corners. And because the fact that we all know the wide receiver, like we vaguely know what the wide receivers ran. Garrett Wilson was ridiculously fast. So this is a thing. It does seem like there is some consistency with fast 40s and being a good wide receiver, obviously.
Well, but not all, because the guy who ran the fastest one was not good.
Yeah, and of course, Jerry Rice ran a 4.6, but that was a long time ago.
Right. Jerry Rice ran a 4.6. Like, it doesn't, to me, it's so meaningless. Let's go to Andrew. He's in Pittsburgh, wants to talk about wide receivers. Andrew, how are you?
Hey, Maggie Perloff. Good morning. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. What's on your mind?
Hey, yeah. A little bit kind of what Perloff was saying about the NFL not wanting big wide receivers. That may be the case with the emergence of like Tyreek Hill and, the dominance that he showed. But from a former quarterback's perspective, if you think of baseball, you think of that strike zone. The bigger the wide receiver is, the bigger your strike zone is for a quarterback. You know what I mean? When you're throwing that pass, you have such a wider range of where you can put the ball, and that guy's going to be able to go up and get it, especially over top of the DB or something like that.
But Andrew, let me ask you a question. I'll give you a choice between peak Devontae Adams or peak Tyreek Hill, who's not big. Who would you take?
If I was playing quarterback, my resume is not impressive, but I would definitely take Devontae Adams.
See, I would take Tyreek Hill, but just fling it downfield and know he's 10 yards past the DB. I think that's more the style now. Look at last year, Quentin Johnson, big guy out of TCU. That was the wrong pick. Zay Flowers way better.
I get your long range threat, but what about in the red zone when you have to throw the ball 10 yards? You know what I mean? It's just you have so many more options when you have a big guy to throw it to as opposed to something smaller.
Tyreek Hill's pretty good in the red zone too.
Fly patterns or swing routes.
Yeah, Andrew, thank you. It's a great point. I think it also depends on what kind of quarterback you have.
I was going to say, I think one thing I maybe agree with Andrew a little bit is a guy like Marvin Harrison or a bigger receiver, they could make a bad quarterback or bad throws catchable. They can make those plays that a smaller guy just won't. Like, to be a Tyreek Hill, how many times do we see Tua Tagovailoa have Tyreek Hill wide open, underthrown by 10 yards, and you're like, or have touchdowns that were just 15-yard gains because he underthrew him. Like, I think there is a little
that's
bit
not
of
fair to Tua. Tua's pretty good chemistry with Tyreek Hill.
No, but there were times. No, he was awesome, but there were times where they definitely. I think there's a little more precision needed to maximize a speed guy than there is a contested catch guy. Just by definition, because contested catch guys can be covered and you can still make completions.
I think Tyreek Hill just fling it down the field. It's a lot easier. But if you don't have that kind of
arm strength, it doesn't matter.
Well, Tyreek Hill had his best season with Tua, so you can't say that he didn't maximize him. But look at the draft.
But not all those were 20-plus yards, air yards.
Right,
You're talking about.
I mean,
Tyreek Hill's yards after the catch. It's like that's a huge part of it.
Tua would always find him behind the DBs, and I always would say, like, how can you let him back there? I kind of disagree. I think Tyreek Hill is better with Tua than he even was with Mahomes. He almost had 2,000 yards. He was on the pace to break the record. But look at the guys who've come in recently. Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Olave. All the good young receivers are small. And Drake London has done nothing. So I think small is the in thing right now.
Speaking of wide receivers, got a little news yesterday that had us all scratching our heads. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
can put away a large pizza by herself. He's allergic to cheese. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
I would say surprise was an understatement yesterday, Perloff, when we got news that the Cleveland Browns had extended a new contract to Jerry Jeudy. Now, they just traded for Jeudy.
They didn't even trade much for Jeudy.
A 5th-round pick and a 6th-round pick to get Jerry Jeudy from the Denver Broncos. And they gave him a guaranteed $40 million. And this continues the odd and baffling behavior at times from the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to have someone explain this to me a bit because Jeudy was under contract this year. So wouldn't you want to see whether or not he can elevate your offense and how he looks in your offense and just anything before you hand this person who has been a disappointment in the NFL, before you hand him $40 million guaranteed?
Well, the contract year, so they had to pay him this year because he's on a rookie deal, 12 or 13 million, something like that. So I kind of understand, hey, if we're going to pay this much now, we might as well not risk losing him in the offseason, because if he hit free agency and did anything this year, which I hope he does, then he's not. Then he's going to go all of a sudden T. Higgins money, $20 million. So maybe it'll end up being a bargain. I just was not a fan of Jeudy in Denver, so I don't get it. Now, you're totally right, but you can't ignore the fact that these Browns are absolutely stacked with talent. I mean, stacked. And they keep on making weird moves. The Deshaun Watson it's the all-time weird move, 5 years, $200+ million. Still, they won 11 games last year without Deshaun Watson, and they all of a sudden have emerged. They have the best defense in the NFL. And they're paying their offense more than any other unit. So they have stars at every position. There's not a single offensive line with more Pro Bowlers than the Browns. They're stacked at every single position. I don't get it, how this has happened. They seem to make the wrong move all the time, and yet here they have all this talent. So I'm not writing them off.
So you're still high on the Browns. I think there have been they are a talented team, obviously. I think they got a little lucky that Joe Flacco came in and saved their bacon last year. I mean,
true, but their entire offensive line went out for injury last year. Remember, they were hurt, and Nick Chubb went out.
Yep.
They had the worst possible injury luck last year, and then Deshaun Watson got hurt. So it's hard to judge them last year. I mean, yeah, Flacco saved their bacon. I totally agree with that. But even with Joe Flacco and none of the regular players there, they still were winning games. Can you imagine if all this came together?
I can't see it. I just can't. I think that Deshaun is still going to go down as one of the worst trades in the history of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Put the personal stuff aside. He hasn't played well. And he has been getting hurt. And I'm not sure how miraculously that's going to change. I think you saw it with the investment they also made in Jameis Winston. I think it was really odd that they felt, if this is indeed true, they felt they couldn't bring Joe Flacco back because he was too popular in town and amongst the fan base. If that is indeed true, and they were feeling that way, that they could bring Flacco back because somehow that's going to be, some kind of ego bruise to Deshaun Watson, who's getting $230 million a year. Something's weird about that.
Yeah.
I also think something was a little odd about Jim Schwartz, who is a great defensive coordinator, right? They have a great defense, one of the top defenses in the league. Why did they bring in Mike Vrabel as a defensive assistant here? Or defensive consultant or something like that. I don't get these.
It's an Ohio thing.
but why? Jim Schwartz is doing a good enough job. Why would you bring in somebody who, what are you doing? You're grooming him to what? If Jim Schwartz gets another head coaching job, that's not happening.
I don't see, because Schwartz had so much success last year, I don't see that as a threat to him. I thought it was an Ohio State kind of thing. But the other thing about Deshaun Watson does not play well, right? But he's been rusty, and I think there's a feeling if he ever gets some consistency, he'll go back to form. He was 5-1 last year on the field, so that's how good the team around him. He doesn't even need to play well, and they can win. What if he gives you 20% more on what he's been doing? What if you had Nick Chubb back? I mean, who knows? With modern technology, maybe he'll come back and be. Nick Chubb is arguably the best running back in the league. And then let's just talk about their wide receiving core for a second. Yes, it's bizarre. Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper. Then remember they drafted Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee, who people loved, and they got David Bell in the 3rd round. And Njoku became a star last year. That's a lot of names, at least. Those are people we've heard of. This is an interesting, bizarre, weirdly put together team that just happens to be very, very talented.
They are. If you're asking me, though, with all that star power and all that talent, they should be a Super Bowl contender. Do you think the Browns are going to the Super Bowl next year?
No, but I think double-digit wins could easily happen. And no, I don't think that they're getting over the hump to be. They've had too many injuries, and a guy like Nick Chubb and a guy like Jeudy, I don't think that they're going to be consistent enough to get through the whole thing. It's just not going to happen.
Which is, again, like you look at the 30,000-foot view from the Cleveland Browns. Yes, you have stars, and you got the Denzel Wards, you got the Myles Garretts, and you got everything, but, all these stars, and this is a team that's all in because you have to be all in if you give your quarterback that kind of money, and they are not settled at the quarterback position because they can't be, because that's how bad Deshaun has been and just how disappointing he's been. So you're telling me you got all this star power, you've got everything at every position, yet they're not a Super Bowl contender. That tells you everything you need to know. Then you got the Jerry and Jeudy contract on top of it from yesterday that just, to me, made no sense at all. Like, are you that worried you're going to lose Jeudy if he has a good year? You're bringing him in to be your wide receiver too. And if you are that good, you could always re-sign him in the middle of the year if you wanted to, if he would take that deal. I just understand why you're throwing this money at this guy before he's ever shown you he can do anything for your offense.
So you're saying the Browns are a disappointment if they don't get to the Super Bowl? See, I have a different expectation. If they can win 10 or 11 games with what they've been going through injury-wise, I think that's okay. They're in the toughest division. They're probably favored in 6 out of 8 divisions to win their division, but they just happen to be with the Ravens and Bengals and Steelers. So I think they're a good team, and I think 11 wins is something. You say that's a disappointment. I understand the contract with Deshaun Watson, but if this team could be a 10-11 team win team, I think that's a factor. I think that's impressive to me.
Well, okay, take out if you have like a sad history of the Browns and what it would mean for them to win a Super Bowl and how, the obstacles it feels like they're facing to just do that as a team that's been associated with a lot of losing. But you just went through all of the stars that are on this team and the highest paid contract to a quarterback by guaranteed money and a 2-time coach of the year. And all these things, yes, it should be Super Bowl. I hate to grade teams on a curve just because.
It feels like a tough curve for the Cleveland Browns to say Super Bowl or bust.
Are we saying what we're saying about the Ravens?
Yeah, because the Ravens were the number 1 seed last year and got to the AFC Championship game and fumbled at the goal line and blew their opportunity. Yeah, of course, the Ravens have much higher expectations.
But don't the Ravens have the same amount of star power if you're going in terms of paying the quarterback, in terms of well-known head coach, in terms of great defense? They all line up. It's the same.
No. Lamar's a 2-time MVP. That you can't say they're the same amount of star power. You have Lamar Jackson.
Okay, but Deshaun Watson is making more money than Lamar Jackson. So,
that mistake has already been made. It's just the reality of the situation.
Wow, it's quite a mistake.
I mean, come on. No one's going to come into next year and say if the Browns are a big disappointment if they don't get to the Super Bowl, everyone's going to say the Ravens better get to the Super Bowl. It's going to be a big disappointment.
Okay, we've talked about how the Ravens, a lot of the guys on the defense, it's more of like a no-name defense outside. Yeah. Right. This is names on the defense. Yeah. You're talking about Myles Garrett. We talked about Zadarius Smith, who they did re-sign. Dalvin Tomlinson, if you know, you know. Denzel Ward is making $18 million a year. I mean, there's a lot of really big names on this team.
Right, but nobody, maybe you think, nobody's saying Super Bowl or bust except for Maggie Gray right now. I can't think of, because that's not how we view the Browns.
You got 2 wide receivers now who are going to be making, $40 million combined. Amari Cooper makes a ton of money.
You are a bit glued together health-wise. I mean, you got Chubb, you got Deshaun, you got an offensive line. Everybody got hurt last year. You have a lot of recovering ACLs on that team. That's your bottom line. A lot of recovering ACLs.
It's like a support group.
I would say if you look at the Ravens, some of those guys have now become names. That's how it works. I think everyone talks about Kyle Hamilton, their safety.
He was a first-round pick out of Notre Dame. He was famous.
Madubuike is now known as a force in the league.
And they developed him. He was a third-round pick.
Right. But I'm just saying, it's not like they're a no-name defense anymore. I think they become a name. I think the Ravens have a ton of pressure to make the Super Bowl. That's a team that has to make the Super Bowl. The Browns, for some reason, are still playing with house money because it's been so chaotic. I don't think they feel that pressure. And Kevin Stefanski obviously win Coach of the Year without doing anything in the playoffs. So the other thing too, I think if Deshaun Watson can get 16 games under his belt and they're somewhat successful, I think everyone will look at them next year as a Super Bowl team. I think they're a year away. They're older, and maybe that doesn't make any sense. It's just how I view the Browns. Like if they get to 11 wins this year, everyone's going to be feeling really good in Cleveland.
I would like to put this on the poll, a poll question: should the Browns be considered an all-in Super Bowl contending team? Why not? I mean, you make the trade for Jeudy and then you pay him. You made a trade for Amari Cooper. The Deshaun.
Well, I mean, could you rephrase that? Would it be disappointing if the Browns didn't make the Super Bowl? And I think
That's a little different. That's a totally different question, I feel.
Well, that's how I feel like Maggie's saying if they don't make the Super Bowl, then they're disappointing with this roster.
Well, because this is an all-in team, you would say, right?
Yeah, but it's a different all-in. And also, too, even that Rams all-in team, nobody would be disappointed if they didn't win the Super Bowl. You could go all-in, and that doesn't mean it's like Super Bowl or bust necessarily. Well, why is it a different question? Nobody's going to be disappointed if the Browns don't get the Super Bowl, where you know if Lamar doesn't make the Super Bowl this year, it's a problem. I don't think anyone is viewing the Cleveland like Super Bowl or bust because they've been nowhere close. They got destroyed in the wild card game last year by Houston. I mean, that's a big leap to say, well, they better all of a sudden win 3 playoff games.
Well, again, this is why I don't like grading teams on a curve. Just because,
if this was the Cowboys roster, we're talking about them being a Super Bowl team. I think that's why I think it's a different question.
Ooh, okay.
Because do you think this roster? You always talk about the Cowboys have an overrated roster. You love this Browns roster. You think this Browns roster has more talent?
Yes,
they definitely.
So
do.
then how? And we talk about the Cowboys every year, saying they're trying to win a Super Bowl. So
I think if the Browns were in the NFC, they'd be a real serious Super Bowl contender. But in the AFC, it's just super tough.
I really think with how Deshaun Watson's played, if he was named Kenny Pickett, we wouldn't know the difference between the two. His stats with the Cleveland Browns are almost identical to Kenny Pickett's.
Yeah, but he's been injured. I mean, first of all, he came off a 2-year hiatus and came onto the field, wasn't even ready to play. And then last year, it was starting to get together, and he got hurt. He's had no chance to get any kind of rhythm with this team.
But guess what? Injuries come, they ride with you. It's not like, okay, you were injured, and then, okay, we just forget about it, and now you're 100% healthy. Like, if you're a guy who continuously keeps getting hurt, that becomes part of your resume. Like, it's the old
That's part of the disappointment.
It's the old Charles Barkley saying, you don't get healthy or you just get rested. At a certain point, Deshaun Watson is not 22 years old. Like, he's not old, but at a certain point, if he's an injury-prone Cowboy player, that's what kind of player he's going to be. I'm not going to point that and say, well, I can't expect him to have those kind of injuries again. I got to have some kind of expectation that he could go down.
Right, but if you guys think that people are talking about Cleveland like a Super Bowl, I've not heard a single person saying the Browns are going to the Super Bowl, and I think that's what matters. Like, you got people have to pick them. The experts on ESPN
but nobody's picking the Jets, and the Jets are seen as a team that's Super Bowl bust.
See, I think also
the Jets are seeing the Super Bowl and bust on what universe?
Oh, that's an all-in season for the Jets.
You think the Jets are Super Bowl or bust? You're saying if they win a playoff game, that's not going to be satisfying?
No, they've got 1 year of Rodgers now. Last year, if they'd won a playoff game, that would have been satisfying. This year, it's got to be Super Bowl or bust because
last year too.
This is it.
No.
But wait, let's keep it on the Browns for a second because, to be honest, like this, we're talking about it now. We are talking about it. And because the Browns made a move yesterday, now they're back in the news, which was giving Jerry Jeudy $40 million. Whether anyone else is talking about it or not, this should be the expectation for the Browns. So I don't really care who Dan Orlovsky picks or whoever on ESPN. This should be the expectation for the Browns considering the roster. I think EJ makes a good point. If this was the Cowboys roster, I think we'd be salivating over it. I saw someone in Cleveland recently say this. What if Kevin Stefanski wasn't the head coach? And now he's a 2-time coach of the year. But say you put someone else, say you put John Harbaugh, or say you put, who's a winner?
Bill Belichick. Let's say Bill Belichick
Andy Reid.
Kevin Stefanski took a team of backups to 11 wins last year. That was an incredible job. But that being said, you guys can say that, but the reality is there's 2 teams that have to get to the Super Bowl. It's Buffalo and it's Baltimore. And the rest, like nobody's saying maybe the Cowboys. You say nobody's saying Super Bowl or bust for the Jets. They were 7-10. They haven't even won when's the last time they won a playoff game?
No, it's 13 years. They haven't been.
Yeah, they just need some success this year.
But why would the Browns be different than the Bills?
Just because the Bills have gotten so close and the Browns have not even sniffed any playoff success.
But you put the Bills roster up against the Brown roster.
You can look at the rosters, but the Browns roster.
What else are we supposed to look at?
You can look at the roster, but nobody's looking at it that way because they're all coming off ACL injuries. I'm telling you, no one's picking the Browns next year. There's not going to be a single person that looks at that roster and that team and says it's Super Bowl. They're just not a team.
I disagree with that.
They just lost in the wild card game.
You just said they lost with half their roster hurt.
I'm just saying. Oh, okay. Full bet. Show me someone who's picking the Browns. And are they even in the top 8 in odds? Probably not.
But that's the thing. I don't know if it met. The reason why certain people don't pick the Browns has nothing to do with the actual football.
Because they've been injury prone. We've never seen them all play together. I think that's a huge deal.
Well, and that also plays into this was a stupid move that they did for Jeudy. And this is a team that with all the great roster moves continues to be stupid.
See,
right?
I think the irony is they seem to be making all the wrong roster moves and they still seem to be really good. It's I can't explain it. They've made a ton of mistakes, and yet they have this great roster.
Right.
But I think you guys are underestimating. It's important to win playoff games and get somewhere in the playoffs to build expectations. You can't expect them to come out of nowhere. And this is not an all-in year. Signing Jerry Jeudy at $14 million a year is not an all-in move. They haven't all of a sudden brought in a dream team like the Rams did. What other moves have they made?
Well, they re-signed Zadarius Smith. The thing is, you don't have to make tons and tons of moves if you already have a good roster.
Right, but it doesn't feel like all in. Like they haven't been stealing. All in means you got to be getting a lot of headlines for bringing in big names. Cleveland's been more of a status quo team this offseason.
Okay, but would you say the Cincinnati Bengals are a team that's all in, right? And what moves have they really made? The Detroit Lions are all in. What moves have they made?
But no.
Your roster building is different. Not everyone's the Rams.
All in means. Like the Jets are all in right now because they got all these old veterans. To be called an all-in offseason team, I think you got to sign a bunch of guys. You can't just be. No one's saying the Lions are all in this year. I don't think they're an all-in team at all. They've been keeping their eye on the long-term prize. What move have the Lions made?
Okay, so maybe you're splitting hairs here about all in versus Super Bowl.
No, I don't think the Browns are an all-in team either because they just sort of have this roster. They're not like saying Super Bowl or bust. They just signed Jeudy for 3 years, which is a long-term move.
No, I mean, I think that the expectations change for the Browns the moment they signed that Deshaun Watson contract. And it's been a massive disappointment, yes, but that's when things change. They reset the entire quarterback market. They changed everything. To say that they're not a Super Bowl contender, again, whether you're a Super Bowl contender shouldn't just be a popularity contest.
I think they've lowered their expectations. I don't think that it's Super Bowl or bust for them anymore.
Man, I think that's wrong because you're spouting how great the roster is and then saying their expectation is to win a playoff game. You have Myles Garrett on one side.
Even that, this AFC is really brutal. Maybe 11, one win. Yeah, I think Cleveland fans would help if they got to the division round. I do not think that's a disappointing season for them.
But they did that with Baker Mayfield.
Once.
Right, no, but I'm saying, that was Baker Mayfield without Amari Cooper. That was Baker Mayfield, obviously not with Deshaun Watson because Baker Mayfield's playing quarterback. If you're telling me 3 years removed from Baker Mayfield taking to the divisional round, and you added all these guys, and you're satisfied with just divisional round, I think you're a loser. I think you're a loser fan base. If that is what you're satisfied with, after you made all of these moves, you signed all these guys, every single year they picked up a skill player that they thought was going to make a difference. They picked up Deshaun Watson. They went and picked up Amari Cooper. Now they picked up Jerry Jeudy, and they already have a great defense. If you say, you know what Baker Mayfield did 3 years ago, if Deshaun Watson does that, making $60 million a year guaranteed, that's okay. We're great with that.
They gave him a 5th-round pick for Jerry Jeudy. Nobody wanted Jerry Jeudy. And by the way, I'll defer here.
$40 million.
Yeah, then they signed him for another $40 million.
I will defer here because you guys know loser fan bases. I am from a winning fan base. It's a totally different. I can't really relate. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, you just said that my expectation for my team is to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So I might be a loser fan base, but I understand what it's like to have expectations.
Right. And I think that to Maggie's point, I look at the Bills fan base with respect because that's what they expect at this point.
Gotcha.
You're the Browns again, and you've made all these moves, and you're like, well, if we do what Baker Mayfield did 4 years ago, that's okay. I mean, they deserve better, and they deserve better from themselves.
So you guys are like Pete. Like, not everybody's going to win the Super Bowl, guys. You can't be 14 Super Bowl or bust teams, and then you're going to have a lot of disappointed fans out there.
No, but that's okay. I think that's actually a good thing. You want teams that are going for it. I think that you want teams that are going for it more than you want teams who are tanking. And I think they see a window, and the moment the window opened for them was the Deshaun Watson trade, or else they wouldn't have done it.
They said they couldn't get over the hump because they had Baker Mayfield. I mean, I keep going back to that point, but he was supposed to be the problem. And
I got a newsflash for you guys.
And now you're saying, if we do what Baker did, that's okay. I don't understand that.
Got a newsflash for you guys. You're not getting Deshaun Watson in the Super Bowl this year. That's not happening.
No, but the question is not will we. We have no idea what will happen. The question is, should the expectation be there?
Maybe, but I think you guys got to lower your expectations on this Browns team. Everybody's coming off a major injury. I mean, the entire team basically tore their ACL last year. Is Nick Chubb really Nick Chubb? Is Amari Cooper still Amari Cooper? Who is Jeudy? I just think it's interesting. They seem to make all the wrong moves, and yet they've accumulated a great team around Deshaun Watson. We'll see. I think you guys are overestimating how good they're going to be in a sense. It's ironic because I'm the one who's saying they have this great roster, but they are older and injury prone. So there's a lot that could go wrong. If they win 11 games, get the second round, I'm telling you, we're not going to say, wow, that's a disappointing team. Just that's all I'm saying.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We are monitoring what's going on in South Korea right now, and especially Pete Bellotti has a bet. Will Shohei Ohtani hit a home run in this opening game? Yes, this game counts. Dodgers-Padres in South Korea. Ohtani looks like he's going to be up at the top of the 5th inning, so we'll keep you updated on whether Pete Bellotti's buying breakfast for everyone. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. Spirited Cleveland Browns debate just now, as one does in March. They are heavy underdogs to not make the playoffs. I am placing a bet right now, just like Pete Bellotti placed a bet on Shohei Ohtani. Same odds, plus 225. Let's go Browns. I can not like the Brownies, except that a lot of people don't like them. Regardless.
We're saying they should be Super Bowl contenders. You're saying no.
Well, no. I think I have expectations. I'm like, oh my God, if this team makes the playoffs with all those injuries, it's good. And Vegas agrees with me that they are a long shot to make the Super Bowl. So regardless, we have more important things to do right now.
That is true.
We have our annual bracket of non-college basketball. This year it is one-hit wonders. It has been so much fun. Although I have to tell you, should we issue a warning about these songs getting stuck in your head?
It's so bad. We did this one-hit wonders as opposed to just like in years past. We did like a bracket of stuff. We did a bracket of things we hate. We want to do one-hit wonders. We thought, we're a morning show now. We'll get people going, a little pep in the step, a little one-hit wonders, music. And now all these songs are getting stuck in our head. We should issue a warning. Today is especially sticky songs.
Oh, could it be worse than yesterday? I don't even know which one you're referring to, because there was some yesterday I'm walking around the house. And my wife said, if you sing Return of the Mac one more time, I'm kicking you out.
By the way, you can vote on all these one-hit wonders. Go to our social media at Maggie and Pearl on Twitter. That's where you can vote. You can also just join our regular March Madness bracket, the one about basketball that our pal Nick in Texas puts on. That's CBSSports.com. It's Pearl Jam Season 3. Again, go to our socials. You'll be able to find the link there, and you can join our NCAA actual basketball bracket.
Love it. I am studying night and day. I'm going to at least beat my wife this year.
I'm betting on Sarah. Okay, so here we go. This is the third region in the Maggie and Perloff One-Hit Wonders March Madness bracket. This is called the Cruising Region, and it starts with the number 1 overall seed in this region, Take On Me by Aha.
That's a pretty famous song.
Oh, just wait. Take On Me, the number 1 seed, taking on 16-seeded I Just Died in Your Arms by the Cutting Crew.
I never heard that song before. That's a banger.
You've never heard Died in Your Arms?
Never heard that song before in my life.
Again.
You're not a Cutting Crew fan? You just made that band name up. There's no band called the Cutting Crew.
I have a poster on my wall.
I wish I could have made that up. Again, this is going to be the bracket with the stickiest songs getting stuck in your head. One-hit wonders. 8th seeded in this region, Breakfast at Tiffany's by Deep Blue Something.
I said, what about breakfast at Tiffany's? She said, I think I remember the film, and as I recall, I think.
8th-seeded Breakfast at Tiffany's goes up against 9th-seeded Don't Worry, Be Happy by Bobby McFerrin.
Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy.
Why are we doing this to people? Now everybody's going to be singing Don't Worry, Be Happy and being mad at that factor going, damn, Maggie and Perloff show, what are you doing to us?
The Maggie and Perloff bracket of one-hit wonders were in the Cruising region. 5th-seeded Electric Avenue.
We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue.
That is send out to the Part of My Take crew for that one. They go up against 12th-seeded Life is a Highway by Tom Cochran.
Life is a highway, I wanna ride it all night long. If you're going my way.
I would have sworn and beaten a lie detector that was sung by the Spin Doctors. I did not know that was someone named Tom Cochran. It's a one-hit wonder.
That's good advice there. A very interesting way to view life. Life is a highway, Maggie. Think about it. There's some depth in these one-hit wonders.
Let's keep going. We are the Maggie and Perloff one-hit wonder bracket, 4th seeded. Don't You Forget About Me.
Don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me.
I was overruled on this one. I just want to put that out there right now. There is no way Simple Minds is a one-hit wonder. They played Live Aid. They had 23 number one hits in UK.
I was going to say the same thing.
You guys are just too young to remember Simple Minds. Simple Minds was massive. They were like U2 big.
Wait a minute. No.
Yes, they toured with U2 and they were the headliner.
Well, not now. That's not how
You're
they're
right.
remembered.
They are only remembered for that song. That is absolutely true, and that makes them a one-hit wonder. But I just want to point out that there are going to be some old heads who are like, how did you put Simple Minds on that list? Go ahead.
They are
Great
going
song,
up
by the way.
against. You asked for ones that are going to get stuck in your head today. I'm telling you, this whole region is just designed to get stuck in your head, and we haven't even gotten to the big ones yet. Okay, 4-seeded, Don't You Forget About Me, going up against 13-seeded, If You Could Only See by Tonic.
If you could only see the way she loves me, maybe you would understand why I feel this way.
Wow, now I got to go, EJ. I've literally never heard that song in my entire life.
Serious?
They're not
Bloody
alone. I
Spotify?
didn't hear that either. I didn't hear what it was.
And by the way, it sounded like Matchbox 20. Are you sure that's Tonic?
It's someone named Tonic. Okay, 6-seeded, Sex and Candy by Marcy Playground.
I smell sex and candy here. Who's that lounging in my chair?
We also interrupt this to tell you that Shohei Ohtani is at bat right now. Pilati has a $20 bet on whether Ohtani's going to homer. Counts now 0-1.
Be buying a lot of candy if he hits the home run.
Yeah, not a lot of sex.
Way off of that.
They're going up against Sex and Candy goes up against 11-seeded Spirit in the Sky.
To the spirit in the sky. It's where I'm gonna go when I die. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place.
Ohtani just grounded into a fielder's choice.
Right.
So not hitting a home run there.
Yes.
We continue with our one-hit wonder bracket. The 3-seed in this region, very strong. Love Fool by the Cardigans. All right, goes up against 14-seeded Video Killed the Radio.
I see this as an upset potential because whoever did Video Kill the Radio Star, they never even sniffed a second song.
I'll give you $100 if you can name the artist.
I have no idea, but I got to tell you, that's their song.
It's
the Cardigans.
The Buggles.
The Buggles, right. That is, that. I think part of this is how bad was the band that put out the hit. And I think the Buggles were pretty low end.
The first song on MTV.
Yeah. Okay, we continue with the one-hit wonders bracket. 7th seed in the cruising region is Afternoon Delight.
Rockets in flight. Afternoon delight. Afternoon delight.
Ooh, I know what they're talking about.
Goes up against 10-seeded Somebody I Used to Know.
Didn't have to cut me off. Because I can never happen to know we were nothing. I don't even need your love, but you treat me like a stranger.
Ooh, again, Dexter said it. This might be higher. This was probably the biggest song in the entire 2010s.
Okay,
Yeah,
here's a question, though. This is Goy? How do you pronounce it?
Gautier.
Gautier, okay.
Gautier.
How do you know he doesn't have another hit in him?
That's a good question.
Like, this is the problem with the guys who are current and currently still producing music.
So
But they produce music now like every day. So by now you haven't produced enough.
No,
I think that you're a one hit wonder.
he fell off the face of the earth, right? He's got a real interesting backstory. He recorded this #1 song and then just disappeared from the planet.
I heard he's also 6'6".
I don't know.
Is that true?
There's a meme going around of him doing a cappella with the woman that's hot. That song is a big song. We'll see how that does. That's a good matchup. Both going against Afternoon Delight from Anchorman? Come on.
7-10 matchup. It's going to be a knockdown, drag 'em out. We continue here, the Maggie and Perloff one-hit wonder bracket. Second seeded in this region. It's Walking on Sunshine. Katrina and the Waves.
Walking on sunshine. Whoa, I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa, I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa.
And they go up against 15th seeded Stacy's mom, Fountains of Wayne.
Mom has got it going on. She's all I want, and I've waited for so long. Stacy, can't you see? You're just not the girl for me.
All right, there you
Zach
have
Wilson song, right?
it. The Zach Wilson anthem. So that is the cruising bracket. Maggie and Perloff, March Madness, one-hit wonders. You can go to our social at Maggie and Pearl, and you can vote. And this is all about you. So whoever you vote on to the next round, that's who makes it.
I think Walking on Sunshine is a powerhouse right there. That's a heavy hitter.
I know. Second seed in this
Good
region.
mood song, too.
Love it. So there you go. Dexter Henry is here. He's got headlines. Good morning.
Good morning. Got some NFL news. We're going to start with Aaron Rodgers has himself a new pass catcher. On Tuesday, the Jets signed former Los Angeles Chargers receiver Mike Williams to a one-year contract that's a maximum value of $15 million. New York went into free agency looking to upgrade the wide receiver position opposite Garrett Wilson, who had been a 1,000-yard receiver his first 2 years in the NFL. Now, Williams, he's been productive when on the field, but he does come with some durability issues since 2018. The former Chargers wideout leads the NFL with 15.8 yards per reception among players with at least 200 catches. However, tore his ACL in week 3 last season, causing him to miss the remainder of the year. So it's really tough there.
That training room is going to be busy in New Jersey, right? I mean, there are a lot of guys coming off injuries. Kind of like the Browns we were just talking about.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them too. And it's like, do you trust Aaron Rodgers to stay healthy?
And that's just all the traditional medicine. We've got all the other stuff going on as well. The plant-based room is going to be really rocking.
A greenhouse to our Jets way.
Greenhouse for green.
Pain medication.
Everything's hydroponic, but sure.
Is this Jets starting lineup for week 1 going to be on the field in week 4? What's going on here?
TBD.
It's all right. All the bacon, egg, and cheeses will keep them healthy.
They better be.
There we go. Speaking of injuries, Saints defensive end Chase Young, he's expected to miss part of training camp after undergoing a neck procedure. Young signed a one-year deal, guaranteed $13 million following his visit with the Saints on Monday. And according to reports in New Orleans, they were aware of the neck issue and they felt comfortable moving forward with the signing.
How do you feel if you're a fan about that headline, right? That's not a good headline for your football team.
Honestly, if I were the Saints, I would lie about this too. I'd be like, yeah, we knew. Because you have to save face at this point. Maybe they did know. It's like,
if they didn't know, they could have avoided the deal.
Yeah, it's like let's sign a guy in a collision sport who's got a neck injury. Let's give him $13 million.
It's weird, but he did have a great Super Bowl. He did. It was a title game. Yeah, his last 2 games he played well. Yeah, this is bad if you're a Saints fan. You're like, what did we just do? Because Chase Young, the other thing is effort. He finally showed up when his paycheck was on the line. You're going to get that with a guy with an injured neck?
Imagine if you're Cam Jordan. You have to be like, what? I mean, I know he's going to go to the Hall of Fame anyway, but he's the other big defensive player that they have who's trying to, squeeze anything out of this, like, whatever Derek Carr is and trying to win again. It's like, give me Chase Young for a year. Oh, I'm sorry. He's got to have a neck procedure.
Cam Jordan's got 1 foot in the television booth. I saw him commentating during the combine. He's ready to go. That second career, you're totally right, but I feel like Cam Jordan can handle anything right now. If you listen, there is not a smoother current player on the mic than Cam Jordan. He'll be fine.
It just feels like the Saints have been operating on vibes since Drew Brees left. It's like, Taysom Hill, you want to play quarterback? Sure. Hey, let's throw Jameis Winston in there. Derek Carr, nobody wants you. We want you. Like, anybody just come on down. We'll see what works.
Honestly, if I was Kenny Pickett, I'd be like, trade me to the Saints.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. Derek Carr was pretty good last year. When that last 4 games, all of a sudden, there's Derek Carr. Did the Jets want Derek Carr to some extent?
Well, that was only
show.
I think also if Rodgers, they were still trying to figure out what was going with Rodgers. But, I mean, yeah, Derek Carr, when he's not, like, openly warring with his tackles and when the team's not basically overthrowing the wishes of the head coach, yeah, the vibes are great.
I got to tell you, that being said, like, do you count New Orleans out? Never in that division. He was really good. The last 5 games of the season, they went 4-1, and Carr found his stride. He was healthy. That's a weird team.
But
New Orleans is
I'm always
irrelevant right
skeptical
now.
of those teams that end the season well, considering they're playing against so many other teams that are so banged up, especially last season.
Well, they kicked the Bucks' butt in that game.
They did. I watched that game. But but I just you're playing so many teams that are so beat up, that are so like they've been through a lot. Some of those teams are already looking at Cancun. Like I kind of temper my expectations for teams that like have a good stretch down that late in the season.
When you count out Derek Carr as when he has a 113 passer rating and all of a sudden it just goes bananas. He is the Bermuda Triangle quarterback. I tell you, discount the Saints at your own peril. They're going to win 8 games and challenge for that AFC South. The NFC South.
Buying that Saints stock.
8 and 9, baby.
Well, then what are you paying all that money for Kirk Cousins? If you're the Falcons and you can't beat the Saints, what are you paying for? Dexter, back to you.
Welcome to the NFC South.
That is the NFC South. We're going to go over to college hoops. Zach Edey, he went back-to-back for the second straight year. Purdue Center's unanimous headliner for the Associated Press's men's college basketball All-America team. The senior topped all 62 ballots from AP's top 25 poll voters, and results released on Tuesday. Last year, he claimed all 58 votes. Now, the men's NCAA tournament that tipped off on Tuesday night with the first 4, although Perloff would say not. And in the first game, Wagner, they kept the good vibes going as they bounced Howard 71-68. The Seahawks, playing with 7 healthy players, almost blew this one as they saw a 13-point lead shrink to 1 in the final 3 minutes of the contest, but they held on. Head coach Donald Copeland, he was proud to lead Wagner to their first tourney victory in program history.
You know, who would have thought this, you know, and I'm just glad that we're doing it right now, because I think these kids deserve it, because they do a lot of things for the right reasons. So I couldn't be more proud for the school, the program, and the kids that I'm coaching.
That was Copeland last night on the JR Sport Brief Show. The Seahawks will now battle UNC in Charlotte on Thursday. It wasn't good vibes for Virginia in the second game, playing against Colorado State for almost 14 minutes of game time and nearly an hour of real time. The ball didn't go through Virginia's basket even once. The Cavaliers, they shot 25% from the field on the night, and they fell to the Rams 67-42. Colorado head state coach Nico Medved explained how his team put the clamps on UBA.
We did a great job of challenging shooters, doing a great job appropriately helping in the lane and not giving Beekman, angles to find other guys for layups, and we challenged shots, and we rebounded. We just did it for long periods of time, and thought then after about 8 to 10 minutes, our offense kind of got going a little bit. Thought we even got better as the game went on, and so that was great to see.
All right, and they'll be moving on there. Last thing I got here is basketball. Team USA, they found out their Olympic draw on Tuesday, and the American men, they're going to be in Group C with World Cup silver medalist Serbia. Also in the group, South Sudan and Puerto Rico's Olympic qualifying tournament winner. Now, the bigger story here is Team USA, they avoided the group of death. That is Group A. That features 2021 bronze medalists Australia, Canada. They've got a roster full of NBA players, World Cup silver medalists from 2023, plus qualifiers from the tournament in Spain and Greece. So Luka Doncic could be in that group. Giannis Antetokounmpo could be in that group. So that group's going to be loaded with stars this summer. But the U.S., they avoid that group, and they're in with Serbia. So they might see Jokic, but they avoid all those other stars.
It's just so funny to me that there'd be a group of death that doesn't have the U.S. in it.
Shows you how the NBA's changed.
Yeah, that's for sure.
World is
Dexter,
catching up
thank
in
you.
basketball. Thank you, guys.
Quick question. We're going to count the first 4, but we're not going to count the NBA play-in tournament as not playoff teams, right? That's how we're doing this.
I disagree with how the
they
NBA
work.
did that.
No, I like how they do it.
So I think you can't have both. You got to take sides about what counts. I don't even like this Padres-Dodgers game counting. I think the first 4 should not count, and the NBA playoffs should count. I'd flip it around.
Wait, you want the play-in tournament?
Yeah, that should count. If you're a 10 seed, you're basically a playoff team.
I don't like that, because at least with the NCAA first 4, it's the same parameters. 1 game and you're in. With the play-in tournament, it's totally different. It's you're 9 or 10 seed, you got to win 2 games. If you're a 7 or 8 seed, you could lose 1 game and still get in. So that's why I don't think
I'm
it
with
should
DJ
be.
on this.
It shouldn't match the same way with NBA playoffs.
Don't play the first 4 game then. Don't play those games then if you're not going to count them, or make them games that people care about. Like maybe St. John's and Seton Hall play each other, or 2 top teams play each other. Make it interesting.
Oh, as opposed to UVA versus Colorado State is what you're saying?
As much as I wanted to see that, yes.
Virginia catching all the strays here on this show.
Thank you. Noodle on that a little bit. Coming up, we've got some Cowboys news for you. We do that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. And Wagner's had some famous.
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
That music is our Cowboys quickie. And the Cowboys got an issue with the players' family members making headlines.
Yeah, you think? What's the latest?
Well, that's not what you want. The latest is Tad Prescott, who has gotten in a little bit of hot water earlier this offseason when he said the Philadelphia Eagles were a really well-run team after they signed Saquon Barkley, right? Best in the NFL, he said, of the Eagles front office. That's not what you want. Now Tad's back again. He's on the I Am Athlete podcast. I don't know why he was on that pod, but anyway, I'm sorry. He was on the I Am Athlete podcast network.
Whoa.
Throwing some shade now at Jalen Hurts. They were talking about top quarterbacks, the top 10 quarterbacks, and he said where Jalen Hurts was on this list. He said, you said quarterbacks, not running backs, shading Jalen Hurts that he is not actually a good passer. He's only a good runner. Mm-hmm. Again, we should not be talking about Tad Prescott. He should probably not be giving opinions like this because it's going to come back on Dak.
Well, this is how I see it playing out. Now, Tad said the first thing you mentioned, he said the Eagles were a well-run franchise, right? So maybe this is setting up, maybe Tad wants Dak to become a free agent next year and land in Philly. Now, Dak has done nothing but shred the Eagles defense in his entire career.
Right.
He owns Philly. So Eagles like to switch up their quarterbacks. What if he's setting up a Dak Prescott to Philadelphia trip? Listen, the Eagles just got Saquon Barkley from the Giants. I'm kind of eyeing Micah Parsons at some point down the road because he grew up an Eagles fan. Maybe get Dak next year. Maybe that's what Tad is working on.
It's Dak Prescott, not Mark Sanchez. I mean, that'd be a stunning fall from grace for Dak Prescott to go to Philly to be a backup quarterback.
No backup. I'm saying if Jalen Hurts doesn't play well this year, they're going to already start looking.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they got rid of Carson Wentz at the exact same timeline. You're telling me if Dak Prescott's not a free agent and Jalen has another year where he can't run anymore and his knee is just shot, then yeah, you don't think they're going to look around after Jalen Hurts? Things move fast at quarterback these days.
No, I get it, but then why are you paying these guys? If you're going to move on from them so quick and you want to cycle through all these quarterbacks, stop giving them all this money. It doesn't make any sense. That's your Cowboy Quick.
Got to overinvest in quarterbacks. Got to keep it churning. You got to keep looking for solutions.
But you don't have to keep giving them $200 million.
Called sunk costs, Maggie.
You keep saying that.
Sunk
I'm
costs.
not really sure.
Niners, they drafted Trey Lance, saw they didn't have it, and moved on immediately. Unfortunately, it's what you got to do.
No, I know, but they didn't pay Trey Lance.
The Eagles paid Carson Wentz and let him out the door and brought in Jalen Hurts. I know of course it's not ideal. I want Jalen Hurts to have an MVP season. But I'm just saying, I've kind of wondered if the Eagles are looking at other quarterbacks. They reportedly were in on Justin Fields.
And you think this is all a mastermind move by Tad Prescott to try to get Dak to Philadelphia?
He's working it.
Why? Yeah, I'm not going to give Tad that much credit here. I think he was just throwing some shade. But again, I don't like this when family members do this kind of thing because you're writing a check that Dak Prescott's got to cash. Like this is you bring upon these kind of headlines. Same with CeeDee Lamb's mom and posting on Facebook. It's like Your kid is the one who has to go out there and make good on these predictions.
I think in reality, the Cowboys, Eagles, pretty much they don't need any more bulletin board material. They're longtime division rivals. I don't think there's. Why is Dak going to have to cash a check because someone said Jalen was bad? That's not going to
No, but it just adds to more of it. Like, Dak doesn't have enough going on. They restructured his contract to save $4 million, which does nothing. We're not sure if he's going to be the Cowboys quarterback past this year.
I think that as long as Tad doesn't talk about opposing defensive ends like Nick Bosa, then
it's okay.
He can talk about other quarterbacks. He cannot get the defensive ends mad.
He'd be stupid to talk about Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
Because the 49ers have made Dak look silly.
You're right. If Tad comes out and says Fred Warner's overrated, then we have a problem. By the way,
you really got to cut off his social media.
This idea that Jalen Hurts did he watch Super Bowl against the Chiefs? Jalen Hurts can throw with great accuracy, so I'm mad as an Eagles fan too.
Yeah, you should be. Have a little more pride in your quarterback.
What are you looking at me? It was Tad.
You already want to move on from Jalen.
I'm not saying move on. I'm just saying Dak's pretty good.
We do this thing called the Great Debate on Wednesdays around here. We'll do that next. Hint for you, March Madness is the theme. We get back to college hoops in just a moment. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Wednesdays around here, we do something called the Great Debate Series. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Because it is March Madness, Perloff, we had to go with a college basketball themed question for today.
Yes, I love it. What is the one thing that distinguishes college basketball from other sports? We love rooting against certain teams. I think you might in other sports, but college basketball, look at the signs in the stands. People hate certain college basketball players.
So for today, let's hit it.
The Great Debate Series.
Today's question, the biggest villain in the history of college basketball. The biggest villain, the most hated, we don't want to get personal here, but the biggest villain in college basketball. I think we're all keeping this on the men's side, by the way.
Yes. Or maybe it just works out that way. But I kind of know who people choose, and I think you have to go first, Maggie Gray, because I feel like we should go in somewhat chronological order here.
Okay, I am happy to go first. The greatest villain in the history of college basketball is someone they made a documentary about it called I Hate Christian Laettner. It is Christian Laettner. Let's hear a little from Laettner.
Trouble on Laettner. And Laettner kicks it.
Okay, that was him stepping on Aminu Timberlake. That was 1992, and that was the game against Kentucky. Now, Laettner, this is the thing about Laettner, right? Laettner is the most hated and also the best and biggest villain in college basketball for a few reasons. One, completely embraced being the villain. He did not fight this. He embraced it. He loved it. If you're going to be a great villain, you have to want to be the villain. The other part about Laettner, accomplishments. He's got the receipts to back this up in college basketball. You can't say that Laettner wasn't a great player. 1990, the buzzer beater versus UConn to go to the Final Four. 91, the free throws to beat UNLV propelled him to the final. 92, the game winner against Kentucky. He had so much arrogance and so much success. It all melded together in the perfect formula. 4 Final Fours, 2 national championships, including back-to-back. That is why Laettner is the greatest college basketball villain and the biggest villain of all time.
Okay. I agree that everyone hated Christian Laettner. I was there for it. Yeah. I hated Christian Laettner. All right, EJ, why don't you go next?
Okay, so I'm going to go with another Dookie, but I'm going to go a little bit advanced because as much as Christian Laettner was hated, I did not watch Christian Laettner play, so I can't hate him. But I did hate one player who played for Duke, and that is one J.J. Redick, former NBA player, now podcaster with the likes of LeBron James. J.J. Redick at Duke was super annoying. And I think when I think of villains, I think there's got to be some kind of tragic part of their story. Like Christian Laettner won so much. So I think you kind of move beyond villains. When you watch most movies or TV shows, the villain eventually loses. Like Christian Laettner kept winning.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of move beyond villain status. Like the fact that J.J. Redick, he kept getting close and close and close and never got over the hump I think does add a little bit to his villain status because he didn't eventually get it all in the end. We got to see him crying on the sidelines as he's hugging Coach K, which was a great moment for a lot of people. A lot of catharsis seeing J.J. Redick get bounced early. But J.J. was super good. He was awesome his senior year at Duke, but he was so cocky. The hand signals, the waving at the crowd every time he did a three. I mean, he was as annoying as it came. A great player, but very hateable as a player. So for me, I think J.J. Redick, he's the biggest villain, in part because he actually didn't get over the hump and win a championship.
Okay, do we go to Pete Pilati next? You want to go last, Perloff?
Actually, I want to go next because I want to follow those two. I love Christian Laettner as a choice. I think J.J. Redick was hated, but those two guys walked so my guy could fly when the villain status. Grayson Allen is easily the all-time most hated Duke player and most hated college basketball player. He's a combo of Laettner and J.J. Redick because he shot like J.J. Redick, but he was dirty like Christian Laettner. He was the full package of a college basketball villain. He had a compulsive tripping problem we all know about. I actually feel bad for him about that, but he's probably the dirtiest high-profile player we've ever seen at this level. In fact, I don't even think there's a close second. The guy, he was the number one story how he had to go to anger management, and he just could not get his emotions under control. And he was also a good player like Redick. But at the end of the day, it's his mug. Just look at Grayson Allen, the name Grayson Allen and Duke, and you put it together, he's the whole package. It is as if God invented a college basketball villain and put him in a Duke jersey and named him Grayson Allen.
I thought it was done purposely. But who knows? I mean, you can't read a kid's mind. But see his legs going out, and then it comes back here. No, that looks purposeful to me.
I would agree with you, Jay. I mean, his head turns, he sees where, that's clearly intentional.
Clearly intentional. It's a good nickname.
He was really, he almost had a disorder where he couldn't stop tripping people. By the way, that dude's shooting 48% from three for the Suns right now. Really good player, ironically. He's kind of calmed down in the NBA. But in college, man, there was no one easier to hate than Grayson Allen.
All right. It is Wednesday. Great debate, which means we take something based on the news, make a big debate about it. Today, it's the greatest and biggest college basketball villains of all time. People, how do you finish it off?
Okay. I'm going to finish it off with a villain that we all know. The committee.
Oh.
They are the ultimate villains of college basketball.
That's cheating. That's too good.
They shatter dreams every year and mess with our minds every year. A bunch of men and women sitting in a boardroom deciding how people on a court should rank in a 68-field tournament. So I give my award to the committee of college basketball.
Wow, Pete, again thinking outside the box.
It's creative.
The greatest villain.
I'll be honest, of Pete's great debate choices that have been outside the box, this might be the best that was this creative.
I thought he was going to say Tyler Hansborough.
I thought he might say Bruce Bochy.
I was close on Bochy.
Bochy.
But one thing, the counter argument, if you can't make it into a field of 64 or 68, are you doing anything anyway? It is a pretty darn big field there.
And then the counter to that counter is, how many times have we applauded the committee for the work they've done on the tournament?
Yeah.
Well, they're kind of like refs and offensive linemen. It's like you're only talking about them when they mess up.
Right. But I think there's, in my opinion, there should be better ways to qualify for this tournament. The automatic bids, I think there should be a little more automatic bids, maybe in conferences, something like that. And leave it out of the boardroom. I like when it's decided on the court.
Oh, interesting. So if you win your conference tournament regular season, you get an automatic bid. And if you win, and if a different team wins the tournament?
You win the conference tournament, and then the team with the best record in the conference makes the tournament.
Yeah, but that'll knock out some of the teams you like the Big East teams that are a stronger conference.
Well,
by the way,
look. St. John's should not have been there. If you really think about it, they had a horrible stretch. And Seton Hall has a case, but St. John's, they had a horrible stretch, and Pitino was the only reason why they were really in the mix.
Can we throw in the college football committee in with Pete's thing? Because a lot of people hate that. I think they're kind of related.
No.
Just general college committees, then you win by a landslide.
How about committees everywhere?
Take out college.
No one's ever liked a committee.
Hate committees.
Honestly, even committees I've been on, I've hated. No one likes a meeting. All right, so there you go. That is your great debate for this Wednesday, the greatest college basketball villains of all time.
Are we going to put out a poll? Because I feel like Pete's cheating. He's going to win this one.
He's going to win this one. Shohei Ohtani up to bat, by the way, and grounding out.
All right. Stretch it
just
into
got him.
He was going to stretch it into an inside the park home run.
A little dribble at first.
The reason why we're talking about this is because Pipilotti currently has $20 riding on whether or not Shohei Ohtani will homer in this game, which is the opening day is basically happening in South Korea. So we're kind of doing two things on the show right now. We're monitoring Pete's Shohei Ohtani bet, and we're also doing the great debate.
He's a bust.
Okay, let me ask you guys a question. I'm going to get a little controversial here.
Okay.
If you expand this out past the men's tournament, is there somebody in women's college basketball that might be a better villain?
Angel Reese, I think.
Angel Reese.
Or Caitlin Clark to some people. But I mean, Angel Reese, she kind of embraced that sort of, I don't know. Did she or did she? I can't tell.
I mean, she's an irritant.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, she's a great player. She's not just an irritant, but she's an irritant.
You kind of have to be a great player to make this list. You can't be some scrub and be on this list. I mean, we're talking about all-time players.
If we also could extend out to coaches, I think we would have gotten some villains there too. Because I think that to some people, I think Kim Mulkey is a little bit, wears the black hat. I think
she's a good
Ariema, wears the black hat. So I think Rick Pitino, of course.
Well,
Coach K.
Coach K.
I think
Coach K would have. I mean, Duke alone.
Basically, we have 3 Duke players in the committee on this team. It was hard because, you want to go to some of the others to go away from Duke, right? Like I said, Tyler Hansbrough is one. Marshall Henderson was one. We have these famous guys who were villains, but how do you compare them to Duke? Duke is like the gold standard of villains in college basketball.
My fandom has always been defined by who plays well against Duke. That is the players I love because I hated Duke growing up. Why is Psycho T Tyler Hansbrough on this list? And he's on a lot of lists. Yeah. Why do people hate Tyler Hansbrough?
Oh, he was also an awesome player, but he was like all elbows and knees, like no one wants to see a guy succeed like that. I think that's why. I think it was like, he's not even Zach Edey tall. He's 7'4". He's like 6'8" and just like throwing his body around. He's like
dirty.
the guy at the YMCA that's just playing a little too hard.
He's a tryhard.
You're asking why a guy whose nickname is Psycho T might be a villain in college.
But I mean, at the end of the day, you're right. He played like that, but he seemed like a very nice guy.
Well, this has nothing to do with personal.
Well, no, Leitner was not a nice guy.
Well, and Leitner, admits now that he made some mistakes. Absolutely. But no, but again, we want to do this as sports villain.
Right. But Leitner crossed. Yeah, but you become a sports villain by going to a press conference and saying mean things about your opponents, too. So, yeah, Tyler Hansbrough, I feel like he was just awkward.
Eric Devendorf is another guy who seemed to irritate a lot of people from Syracuse. Jumping up on scorers tables and stuff like that.
Yeah, he was kind of him and Marshall Henderson were kind of wild men. It wasn't necessarily how good they were; it was just how brash they were. I think got people under people's skin. I think the people that are interesting because I think they're polarizing because they were super popular but also hated by a lot of the country are members of the Fab Five: Chris Webber, Jalen Rose. I think those UNLV teams: Larry Johnson, Gold T. Part in the middle, like that was for a lot of America, that was very different than what they had been seeing. Patrick Ewing in the 80s, like, and a lot of that had nothing to do with anything he was doing.
That was going to say, it felt like that was more crossed over into just sort of more blatant racism than it was about, what we're talking about. And it's funny about the Fab Five, it's a great one to bring up because as someone who was young when the Fab Five came up, it was all how great they were. It was very rare, I thought, to see detractors. It's only now as I'm an adult that I saw how they rubbed people the wrong way, which I don't even, that was more of like a pop culture kind of thing.
When you're young, you're a part of counterculture. So like it's what everyone's doing. It's new, it's fresh, it's hot. Like it's more relevant. I think when you think about older fans, they're not part of younger culture. Like I'm even 32 and I see young things happening. I'm like, I don't know why the kids are all wearing short shorts still. I still can't get past that. Like when I played, you were wearing shorts below your knees, and now these guys are wearing shorts up their thighs. Like it's what's new now.
But you have to Fab Five though. I think they were wildly popular too. So I don't think there's any point where J.J. Redick was like the Fab Five. I mean, Fab Five is probably the most popular team we've ever had. Did you see the documentary? It was like a rolling circus.
Well, half the documentary of that Fab Five was also Jalen Rose being in a crack house. And like, there was some imagery about those guys. And again, a lot of it, not anything to do with them, but there was some imagery that bothered people.
They sold a lot of merch, though. They kind of transformed.
For sure.
They were very, very popular.
Is there something, too, about, I think there were a lot of casual fans that loved the Fab Five. I guess casual fans do like Duke? I find the casual fan generally dislikes Duke. It's only the Dukies that love Duke.
Also, I think Weber was popular in a way that was different than those guys. I think
Number
Jalen
one high
was-
school player.
Yeah, he was different. But regardless, I don't know any casual Duke fans. Either you're, if you're neutral, you kind of hate Duke, right?
Like, I know a lot of casual Notre Dame fans. I don't know if I know a lot of casual Duke fans. In the chat, getting some fun ones. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. The great debate question today is the greatest college basketball villains of all time. And obviously, a lot of Duke on this list. I picked Christian Laettner, Perloff picked Grayson Allen, EJ picked JJ Redick, and Pete went with just the committee. The committee is the big villain who selects the 64 teams. Dilbo's in the chat says Temple coach John Chaney threatened John Calipari in the postgame news conference. I thought John Chaney became kind of a folk hero for that.
I think it's 90-10 like Chaney. Everyone, I think, oh my God, I thought Chaney was cool after that. I'm from Philly and I was there when that happened. But one thing about Duke, too, you could be the nicest guy in the world and people hate you. Trajan Langdon. What did Trajan Langdon ever do to everyone? You ever seen the signs when that guy was playing? They hated him. And he was like Mr. Little Alaskan guy.
I think there are probably 3 players in the history of Duke basketball that transcended the hate.
Yeah, I know who you're saying.
Grant Hill, Elton Brand, Zion Williamson.
Yeah, Jason Tatum, too.
Okay,
Nobody hated Tatum.
Elton Brand, Jason Tatum, and Zion Williamson were only one and dones.
Yeah, Tatum didn't even rate. He wasn't as big a star as the ones you just mentioned. But
yeah, that's why I didn't put him in there.
Yeah,
but
nobody
How
hated
you gonna hate Nolan Smith?
He was
I
a little
hated Nolan
neutral.
Smith.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Corey Maggette was well liked. Corey Maggette was the first Duke player who could fly. I mean, he was like a dunk machine, which is unlike Duke.
It'd be funny if now next week we do the most loved Duke players.
It's
a very short list.
The greatest villains in college basketball is our great debate. And
Ironic. You know who people loved? They loved Kyrie, who is now quite polarizing. Kyrie was popular at Duke. I don't remember him. He didn't get that enough. Duke hate. Yeah, but nobody was like, JJ Redick. They hated JJ Redick from the second he stepped on that court.
Kyrie only played 11 games in college.
Right, but he was, I remember him being kind of a phenom. Everyone wanted to see him play in those 11 games until he got hurt.
And to Perloff's point, I think the one and done guys haven't been immune because Zion Williamson was loved, but you know who wasn't? RJ Barrett, who was right on his team because they said he was Maple Mamba and he was overrated. He was not and then like the way he played also just wasn't. He was a kind of a ball hog. Like he was not someone that was liked. Also, I was thinking of someone else who just came in my head and not popped out.
Cam Reddish?
No. Someone super new. It'll come back to me. But there have been one and done guys who have went there and people have been like,
Julian Okafor? I think people liked Okafor.
Yeah, I don't think people had a problem. I don't remember an RJ Barrett big problem. I remember Zion was sucking up all the wind.
So many people were like, RJ Barrett's hogging the ball. It was like Zion Williamson should be getting more shots. Like, and I swear this is not a Knicks thing because they were saying this before he even got to be a Knick. It was, and I do a lot of draft work. He was a high school phenom who everyone thought was going to be next Kobe Bryant coming out of Canada. Like, he came with a lot of expectations, and then he also got a lot of hate as well. Oh, Austin Rivers. Sorry, that was a guy who also was very hated at Duke. Yeah. He was another trash talker, another guy who got under people's skin. So they haven't been immune to the one.
Wojo's all time slapping the floor on defense. Everyone hated that.
Yeah.
Steve Wojciechowski and obviously Shire, I think, was polarizing.
Yeah, Austin Rivers, I think there's been another thing with him. He's a great player at Duke, and didn't he get a huge game winner for them?
North Carolina, yeah.
Yeah, so he's a great player, but I think there's also like the coach's son aspect to it.
He had a different thing going. Did he win a title? Sorry.
No.
I think so. Got to
I don't
double
think
check.
so. No.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. David in the chat said Sheldon Williams was well-liked. Fair.
That's true.
What? Really? The landlord?
He was fine.
Who liked the landlord?
I don't think you had strong feelings one way or another.
He played with JJ Redick. I don't think anybody liked anybody in those Duke teams.
It's possible. 855-212-4CBS. Okay, today, great debate. It is the greatest college basketball villains of all time. You can go and vote on our poll at Maggie and Pearl, and we would love to hear from you. Again, 855-212-4CBS. Coming up, lots more to do, including a little news about one hated Duke player. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Great debate today. Biggest villain in college basketball history.
Taking calls, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Does anyone have any non-Duke players to call in with? That'd be helpful, too, to expand our list. We all went Blue Devil. There's a reason they are the Blue Devils. To me, Maggie had Christian Laettner. EJ had JJ Redick. To me, Grayson Allen is the ultimate bad guy. I mean, he's Grayson Allen. Just picture the face right now and tell me you don't get angry. Although he's been pretty well behaved in the pros. Good player.
Well, I think he kind of had to be, right? Or else your career is going to be gone. He's a champion too, right? He was on that Bucks championship squad, wasn't he?
He was?
I believe so.
You could be right,
855-212-4CBS. Now, we were just doing players, and then Pete went outside the box, as he often does, and one of the reasons why we love him. He said the villain of college basketball is the committee. Ooh, didn't think about that. So now we've gone a little more outside the box, and we've said, all right, you can go to the women's side, you can go to coaches, we can open this up to a lot of different characters in college basketball. And that's where we find Dana in California, who's got a great one. Good morning, Dana.
Hi, guys. Love your show. It's my favorite sports show of all. It keeps me company on my way to work every morning. For me, the greatest all-time college basketball villain would have to be Bobby Knight.
It's a great one.
I mean, the guy choked out another kid, threw chairs, threw tantrums. I think that trumps just about everything as far as I'm concerned.
You know, Dana, you're so right. And when we were kicking around this idea, and appreciate the call, we thought about, should we do coaches? We thought Bobby Knight would be such a landslide.
Yeah. Unless you went Coach K, who's, of course, a Bobby Knight clone in many ways. But Bobby Knight almost gets his own category. I feel like it's unfair to put other people in with him because he did more negative stuff than any coach ever. And he's also one of the great coaches in the history of all sports.
No doubt. I mean, this great debate category should be named the Bobby Knight, great debate for today. Who is the biggest college basketball villain?
Yeah, but I feel like people aren't Bobby Knight. Other coaches want to be him. Like the Grayson Allen and JJ Redick and even later were not quite as successful as Bobby Knight. I guess Laettner was.
Yeah, Laettner
was
definitely.
Our
guys,
four straight Final Four.
JJ and Grayson were not.
No, definitely not.
Rich is in Chicago. Hey, Rich.
Hey, I've got one for you guys.
Yeah.
And it's a team category. This is going to blow away Perloff about hating Duke. How about this? The most hated team playing the most beloved Duke team, the 91 Nevada Las Vegas Rebels in the semifinals when they had Ogman and Larry Johnson and Tarkanian, and Duke had all the good guys, and they upset Duke. I was at the game. Duke upset them. And there's nobody – I mean, it's the only team in the country where the players were older than the coach. These guys are like 31 when they were playing for Tarkanian. I don't know anybody that liked Nevada, Las Vegas.
Greg Anthony was also on that team.
They had an evil empire feel. Right,
Yes.
like they were like the Yankees. Like, oh, this team is just too good. And they were. That's the cockiest team in the history of sports. I love those players now. But they were. You're right. They were hated because they were so arrogant.
Yeah, Perloff did, but everybody was in love with Duke to kick their butt.
Yeah, but then when did Laettner step on the dude? Because that's when it all changed.
That was 92.
So you're right. They beat UNLV and everyone loved them and they loved Bobby Hurley, and then it all changed.
Well, and this is what happens in sports. We love you on the rise.
Yes.
And then once you're really good and established, then all of a sudden now, the backlash. Like, look what happened with the Chiefs.
You die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, the Dark Knight.
Rich, thank you so much for that one.
And by the way, Stacey Augmon didn't fit into that team at all. Stacey Augmon was just all defense, team first. The other guys were basically in a hot tub. Augmon might have been in the hot tub too. That is my favorite college basketball.
Well, the cheating associated with it also makes them more villainous. Although, listen, guys taking money in college basketball was not rare.
I still can't believe they lost to Duke. That was my favorite team. I
like that team.
Me and all my friends were like, "Oh my God, Larry Johnson is unbelievable."
Again, it's like a youth thing. I think like a lot of the young people, I know a lot of black folks for sure. They loved watching UNLV.
They were very popular.
The crap out of Duke, like for sure. Like but again, for a lot of older folks, it's very different seeing that squad with that kind of swagger, with that kind of physicality. Like they need a 30 for 30. Like I'm surprised, and I don't know if maybe because
I think they might have. I feel like I've seen some documentary stuff on them.
I can't think of what it was. They've done one on Arkansas. They obviously did the I Hate Christian Laettner. I need the UNLV doc because there was some arrests happening. There's a hot tub. That's one of the best stories in college basketball history that kind of gets a little forgotten in part because I think they kind of want people to forget about what UNLV was. But
HBO had a big
crazy. HBO did one.
Yeah, I mean that team was too iconic. They had to, but bring another one because I don't think a lot of kids know about that team. Because you say they were good, but at the time they were beyond good.
And this is, we talk about, can you tell the story of college basketball without these certain teams and these certain villains? And the ones that we mentioned from Duke, UNLV for sure, Bobby Knight for sure. All of these, they stand out. And actually, this brings me back to my original Zach Edey point, which is a 2-time unanimous All-American. And I mean, unless he does something really big in the tournament, I think he's going to be forgotten. Anyway, he's not a villain, though. Dexter Henry is here with headlines. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm not going to be a villain with these headlines here.
You could never, Dexter.
I will not do that. Let's start off in the association. Last night, Zion Williamson, he brought his high-flying act, to Brooklyn.
Ball stolen away by Najee Marshall. He took it away from Thomas. Throws a lob for Zion and a two-hand slam. Wow. A steal and a transition lob to Zion Williamson, who was flying in.
That's Chris Carino on the call on WFAN. Williamson, he wowed the crowd at the Barclays Center, threw down 2 of his game-high 28 points. Pelicans, they won for the 7th time in 8 games, clinched their 2nd straight winning season. They bounced the Nets 104-91.
So there's a report yesterday, Brian Windhorst, ESPN, said he lost 25 pounds since their embarrassing in-season tournament loss. That's a big deal.
Ozempic? I'm just kidding.
No. Honestly, I think there's a great chance. I mean,
I don't know if professional athletes can use that. It feels like more like a Hollywood thing, right?
Well, didn't Oprah come out the other day?
Yeah, like a Hollywood thing.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Why not? Because Zion, the key for him to stay healthy is to keep the weight off. I think Ozempic would be in play.
Interesting.
There's nothing wrong with it, unless it's something dangerous if you're an athlete.
No, I just don't think we know a lot about the long-term effects of these kinds of drugs. Listen, if it helps you, it's great. I'm not. You want to be healthy. This is not a thing about Ozempic, but for a professional athlete,
I think it'd be a good idea.
Well,
I think I'd give Joel Embiid some of that.
He's at a crossroad. Are you saying Joel needs it?
Oh,
he's so young.
Big time.
You can change your life. Zion Williamson, don't you think he could just change his diet and lifestyle and he could probably have lost the weight? No?
Well, yeah, but some athletes.
It's hard. I know it's hard.
Why do some athletes have trouble doing that? Then you say, there's a lot of athletes like that. Food is complicated.
No, I get it. Everyone's got their own relationship with food.
I think Zion's also had an issue with he keeps getting hurt, and that also hurts him, I guess, in gaining the weight because when you're not able to run, you're not able to work out as much, and you're sitting around a lot. That's what happens to everybody. Sure. And I think that's been the fact that he's been healthy for most of the season and been playing. I think that also probably helped him a lot as well.
I like this idea of giving athletes Ozempic. I'll bet you it's a thing. I mean, listen, they'll put anything that'll help. Yeah. What's the downside? I mean, Zion, last night was spectacular. You should see my reaction when he had that dunk. You can't even tell on the radio. He literally flew for about 3 seconds.
He got so high. And you can see he's lost weight. If you look at his face, you can see the weight loss with him. You can definitely see it right now.
How dangerous are the Pelicans? I'm starting to get worried. I know I kind of wrote them off earlier this year on the show, but
they're very young still. So I think that it's the same thing. The whole NBA is, right? The old guys, Maggie and I have the old guys, the Lakers and the Warriors. And then there's all these young teams that no one knows in the playoffs.
They do have one guy who has some playoff experience in CJ McCollum, who was going to be a trivia question before Maggie got it in the break.
Sorry.
He beat Austin Rivers' Duke team in the first round. But, he's been in the playoff wars. He's taken the team to Western Conference Finals. Is he enough to maybe overcome the youth on that team? That's a big question, I think.
Well, didn't they have the big 7-game? They took the Phoenix Suns to a game 7, right?
Yeah, it was 6. But it was an extremely competitive series. They could have won 7.
They have these great Herb Jones and Trey Murphy, these great wing defenders, which is the buzzword.
Willie Green's a good coach. That
one I don't know. Okay. Why are they putting Zion at point guard? That I have not
because they don't have a point guard, which is. I think is a whole issue, but we'll see what happens in the playoffs. But I mean, CJ McCollum is the quote unquote point guard, and they never got a true floor general.
Yeah, he doesn't. CJ likes to play off the ball.
Yeah, he does. And Zion's been playing well with the ball in his hand, so we'll see how that goes.
I was just taking a look quickly at the rest of the Pelicans roster. They do feature a Zeller. Do any of the Zellers make it onto our college basketball villains? This one is Cody. They're all the same.
No.
I say no.
I
don't think they antagonized enough.
I feel like Tyler was probably more of a villain because I think North Carolina was better than Indiana, and he was not as good as Cody. I think the fact that he was Tyler was more of a goon
Right.
in college
But
basketball.
he could have been on this list, but that's our great debate question for
Yeah.
today, the greatest college basketball villains of all times. I think a Zeller brother could make it
And
up.
ironically, Cody is taken after his brother once he got to the NBA because now Cody Zeller is a massive goon in the NBA.
Yeah, right.
Now, all he does is he must have injured 4 Knicks in that last playoff series they had against the Heat. He just goes and throws his body around for 10, 15 minutes a night.
Which one is the really bald one?
That's Cody.
Cody.
Who was a superstar recruit coming out of high school and was a top player as a freshman. He was he was number four pick in the draft. People thought he was going to be a star.
I'm sure he would love that description of him that you just
All right.
Who's the bald one? The very bald one.
Doesn't one of them do the one-handed free throw thing too?
That's Cody. I think that's him.
Yeah.
Same guy.
Yeah, the
There's only
one-handed
one
free
in the
throw
NBA.
trend
I think
is
he's
wild.
the last one left.
Yeah.
I mean, can we just say what's happening here? Why are we putting all white guys on this college basketball villain list? What's going on there? The Zellers?
Yeah.
Was there anything except them to hate, except that they're white?
No, that was the way they played.
That too.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah,
and
no.
and the school they were playing for.
Well, what? Yeah, Indiana, Duke.
Yeah, that all adds in.
Yeah, no, totally. It's at the end of the day, it's Duke. It's
Yes.
Duke,
Yes.
and Duke.
No, because I thought Tyler Hansborough could have been on the list, and Marshall Henderson could have been
If
on this
Tyler
list.
Hansborough went to Duke, can you imagine how much more he would have been hated?
Oh, I agree. He would have been hated more. No doubt about that. He would have been hated more. He would have definitely been hated more. All right. Also in the Alamo City, Kyrie Irving, he poured in a game-high 28 points on the night where Luka Doncic shot 6 of 27 from the field. The Mavs, they stopped the Spurs 113-107. The Mavs head coach Jason Kidd, he liked how his team actually played some defense on Tuesday night.
San Antonio's a team that puts a lot of pressure on your defense. I thought the guys did a really good job on Victor and Vassell. But, again, we're getting great looks. Luka got a lot of great looks tonight, just didn't fall for him.
Now, moving on with NBA news, according to current Timberwolves owner Glenn Taylor, former baseball star Alex Rodriguez, and Mark Laurie have lost the financial backing of the Carlyle Group with one payment left to claim majority ownership of the T-Wolves. Taylor says that Rodriguez and Laurie will need to now find a new way to raise money for the final installment, which is due, guys, on March 27th. So the clock is ticking.
Wow.
Right, so you're trying to find somewhere north of $400 million in about a week?
The Carlyle Investment Group had $300 million that
Okay.
they were giving to them. And so, yeah, they've got to get about that within less than a week.
Hey, Raj, you go on TikTok.
Okay, who do you call when you need $400 million? I started GoFundMe for Alex Rodriguez. And the guy was created Walmart.com or something.
I mean, I don't know if other ownership transactions have happened this way. It feels like this transaction
Very sloppy.
Sloppy, tenuous. It feels like people shouldn't be able to buy a sports franchise like this.
On layaway.
Yeah, with we're gonna give you these payments over the course of 2. I feel like A-Rod's been the owner of the Timberwolves for since the pandemic. It feels like this whole how is this not done yet? How
Honestly,
is he not giving them the money yet?
The weirder thing about this is the other guy, Mark Lore, I think,
Right.
or Laurie, however you pronounce it. So do you know about this dude?
No.
So he was I said he created Walmart.com. Obviously, the Waltons created Walmart, but he was something behind the grocery delivery online. He got really, really rich about that. And he now wants to create a utopian society in the middle of nowhere and start from scratch. This is billionaires are freaking weird, guys. They lose touch with reality. Anyway, he wants to create not a Burning Man situation, but some weird kind of start over utopian society somewhere. No thanks.
Right.
Definitely not with this guy and A-Rod. No shot.
Yeah, is he running things in this utopian society?
Why else?
Why not? Because he's got the money.
And the ego, clearly.
Yeah, there you go.
Larry Ellison, the Oracle guy, has an island that has this giant building that's all run by robots. He has a robot island, which is similar to.
Sounds like the start of a scary movie.
Well, it sounds like when everything goes badly, that these guys are going to go to their islands and be safe, right?
No, Larry Ellison will most likely perish at the hands of one of his robots.
Yes.
Isn't that the way this
I think
ends?
that's likely.
But in this scenario, everyone else in the world is dead because of nuclear war, but he has a bunker on his robot island that he's living off technology. And it might be,
Still,
I
the
might
robots
completely have the wrong billionaire, by the way.
Oh, wait, maybe we should fact check that. I still think the robots would equal his demise. You're going to surround yourself in a robot island. What do you think's going to happen? You're getting microwave Pop-Tarts the whole time? No shot.
Robot's going to say, we're sick of this.
Yeah, they're going to become self-aware.
You guys aren't, so if
And they're
I
gonna
offered
mutiny.
you a robot butler, you would say no.
No, it's not an 80s sitcom.
No, I don't. I don't trust. No, I don't trust that.
Not with AI today. No.
I watched too much Terminator.
Yeah, think about it.
You're
going to have a butler, a robot butler, come waking you up in the morning. What are they going to shave you with a straight razor and then?
Unless it's Rocky's robot. That's it.
That was a good robot.
Have you guys?
The kids' robot.
Have you guys ever seen the movie Ex Machina? There was a robot who was also friendly in the bedroom. Maybe Pipilotti can interest you in that.
Oh, God.
But how did that movie,
I don't know if Pipilotti's wife lived like that.
He definitely, the billionaire died.
Yeah, there you go.
The billionaire usually dies. We go to a restaurant, Japanese restaurant in my neighborhood called Dimmer and Summer, and there's a robot waitress.
How does that work out?
It's fine. There's not even the inkling that they're going to kill us at any point.
Just wait.
A robot comes out with the dumplings, and it's cute.
See, I don't like that. It takes regular people out of work.
Well, there's also a regular waitress.
Oh, okay,
the robot doesn't take. That's why I don't feel threatened for my life. There's a lot of safeguards. There's a guy with a machine gun in the corner. There's a robot
holding on the plug.
I'm about to say the college student making $5.50 an hour is going to save you from the robot.
He'll be out the back door.
I want to be clear. I am also afraid of the robot revolution.
Okay.
I'm with you guys.
Well, it sounded like you wanted to go to Robot Island and hang out.
If you guys want to hide from the robots, I'm leading that charge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where are we going to hide?
I'm not sure.
That other guy's Utopia Island. Say, can we hang out here? Nope, afraid not.
And we can't even watch Timberwolves highlights anymore because he's probably going to lose the team.
There you go. Options are not good.
I thought we were going to be able to hang out there with Anthony Edwards, and it looks like that's a no-go, too.
No.
You guys saw Anthony Edwards dunk the other night, by the way.
Yes, that was crazy.
Peter Schwartz somehow didn't have any updates yesterday.
Yes.
Could not believe
Was that a surprise to you?
So, by the way, we were waiting for it. He dislocated his finger. They played last night, right? Was he okay?
He was okay.
Okay.
He scored 30.
It was funny. Everyone was talking about the dunk, but he definitely dislocated his finger on the dunk, and nobody was
that's
talking
when he
about
dislocated his finger? Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Still worth it.
That kind of dunk. The big celebration you usually have after dunk because he was grabbing his finger.
Yeah,
he's
he had
like,
to leave
I think
the
it's
game.
broken or something. Yeah.
Dunk of the year for sure.
Sorry, audience, you didn't get to hear the great dunk yesterday.
That's disappointing.
I thought the same thing after the show. I saw everybody was talking about Anthony Edwards' dunk. I'm like, it's funny. We didn't hit that in the... But you did do the Zion dunk last night, which kind of knocked it out of the news.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Had to be on top of that.
Because, listen, they wanted a robot update guy, and I said no. The last thing we want to do is be running down the hall because we made too much fun of the robot update guy. And
it almost came
to Maggie's point. Didn't put me out of work. So
yeah, totally.
Honestly, it almost came to that. We couldn't find anybody for a while. Yeah. AI update. No, thank you. Not in this show.
And last night, the Jazz beat the Timberwolves 102-98.
And by the way, Ohtani just RBI single into shallow center field, but that is not a home run.
Right.
Dodgers are up 5-2, top of the eighth inning. That could have been his last at bat.
Sorry,
and
Pete.
Pete Bellotti
and he starts dancing too. Give me a break.
Had a $20 bet that Ohtani was going to hit a home run in this game.
Starts dancing. They're going to be 1-0. All right, relax.
Well, here's the thing. You still have a lot of time for the Padres to tie this up and to get yourself into extras.
That's true. Positive vibes. There you go.
However, extra innings are now much shorter because of the man on second rule, but still.
That stupid rule is still around.
I like it.
They even use that rule overseas in games that mysteriously count. By the way, you guys are just going to let my robot impersonation go by without making fun of me for a dad joke, Maggie? What's happening? It didn't even raise to that level?
Which is why I didn't make fun of it.
Okay.
It was funny.
Sounded like a robot.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, do it again.
The Utah Jazz beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 102-98. I speak fluent nerd, just so we're all clear about this.
It sounds like the wrestler Kane in 1998. I kind of like it.
Yeah, it feels like Revenge of the Nerds 4 right there.
That's what we should do if we can't find an anchor one day. You do the robot.
The robot? Okay.
I was thinking the AI is so good right now, we're not even speaking to you. Perloff and I have the day off. This has all been an AI-generated show.
That's not funny? That's a little close to the truth. Do not give any bosses any ideas, Maggie.
Perloff and I are actually in South Korea watching this Dodgers-Padres game live.
You just think that they're here. All right, we're going to wrap with some NFL news. On Tuesday, the Cleveland Browns, they announced the signing of newly acquired wide receiver Jerry Jeudy to a 3-year extension. The deal is worth $58 million, including $11 million guaranteed at signing.
The Browns signed Jerry Jeudy. What the heck is that about?
All of a sudden, the robot just starts to smoke every time you start talking about the Browns.
The Browns are
Danger.
Danger is here. Last thing, guys. Travis Kelce. He could have himself a new gig. The Chiefs tight end is reportedly in talks to become a game show host in the near future. According to Variety, the Kansas City Chiefs star, Prime Video reps, they're working to hammer out a deal that would make the 3-time Super Bowl champion the face of this show. Are you smarter than a fifth grader? Reboot coming. Now, this isn't guaranteed to happen, guys. Reportedly, there's at least some concern by executives that Kelsey wouldn't be able to do the gig properly if he continued his NFL career. So I got 2 questions for you. 1, are you intrigued by this? And 2, should Kelsey hang it up and move into becoming a game show host?
Like what? I feel like Jason Kelsey could host it until Travis retires.
He could hold it down.
Maybe do it a combo.
I'm sorry. Is this a heavy lift to be hosting? No. Are you smarter than a fifth grader? That in an off season he can't do this? This is not exactly, doing a Taylor Swift tour.
Are you smarter than a preschooler?
When DP took over Sports Jeopardy, 27 days. Alex Trebek did like 29 days a year.
Yeah.
They do 6 shows in a day. It's super easy. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He could do this.
Of course he could do it. And here's the question, though. Now you're dating Taylor. They're probably getting married.
Well, I think
she's married a game show host? She signed up for a Hall of Fame tight end, and now you're getting game show host. That's a little bit of a bait and switch.
No, come on. There's nothing wrong with being a game show host. Michael Strahan's a game show host, and he's beloved.
No, you can be beloved.
He could pull a Taylor Swift. Back in the day.
No, this would be like if Travis Kelsey, got with Taylor Swift and then shaved his beard.
I think
you can't do that.
I thought that Pete was going to say, is the question, is he smarter than a fifth grader?
Exactly. Then we find it out, then the show ends.
It goes in tears.
I think you need your host to actually be smarter. No, Travis is smart. That's mean.
Listen, he's played this thing perfectly, so he's definitely smart.
He's moving in the right direction with things. I don't
Jason
see why
can't. Actually, Jason can't fill in for him because you need to wear a shirt to host this show.
Well, around children, you should probably have a shirt on.
That might be a prerequisite.
Yeah,
yes.
Dexter will get you on a list somewhere. Dexter, thank you so much.
No problem.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Big question about one of the draft prospects. We got pro days today. We'll get that to you next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Good morning, sports fans. This is your radio update with the latest headlines from the world of sports. Starting off with college basketball, Virginia's early exit from the NCAA First Four has prompted serious introspection. The Cavaliers are looking at their system closely as they assess what went wrong. In NBA news, A-Rod and Lore's bid for the Timberwolves has hit a snag as they lose backing for the deal. Meanwhile, the New York Jets are boosting their offense by signing wide receiver Williams, giving quarterback Aaron Rodgers a new weapon to work with. Over in NCAA action, Wagner may be short on bodies, but they showed plenty of fight in their recent win. Switching gears to legal matters, MMA fighter Alves has been granted $1.1 million bail after a rape conviction. In NFL news, the Rams' Garoppolo expressed frustration over his ban, calling the exemption messed up. And unfortunate news for Kansas basketball fans, as they'll be without McCullough for the NCAA tournament. Lastly, in a surprising move, Clemson has filed a lawsuit against the ACC over exit fees. Stay tuned for more updates as the sports world continues to unfold. This has been your Sports Radio Update. Good morning, sports fans. This is your radio update with the latest headlines from the world of sports. Starting off with college basketball, Virginia's early exit from the NCAA First Four has prompted serious introspection. The Cavaliers are looking at their system closely as they...
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. On Wednesdays, we do the great debate. Today, we're doing the greatest college basketball villains. 3 of us on the show went with a former Duke player. And Pete Bellotti went outside the box and said just the committee, which extended to just committees in general.
Damn right.
We hate red tape around here.
We got to put that up as a poll because I think Pete's going to win. Who would not vote against a committee?
I said Christian Laettner. Perloff went with Grayson Allen, and EJ went with JJ Redick. Mike is in Syracuse, has a college basketball villain for us. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Growing up in Syracuse in the heart of the Big East in the 80s, it was Michael Graham, swingman for Georgetown. So when you were saying that Patrick Ewing was, semi-beloved, it was because Graham was also on that team. The original bald-headed hatchet man.
Well, Mike, and thank you. The one thing about those criticisms, though, and going back to Michael Graham and the famous moment against Dayton, where he pushes another player, Cedric Toney, who falls, and Graham ended up getting a foul off of it. And Billy Packer at the time says this is where Georgetown gets accused of being thugs, and it felt like that's just an overtly sort of racist kind of characterization because the foul did not warrant that type of critique. But, they were also physical players. But thug comes with a lot of different, that's a coded language.
I remember Graham was stood out because he was bald. I just remember, why is that? Nobody shaved their head like that before him, as I recall, as a little kid. I think that's one of the reasons everyone knew who he was. And he definitely, as I recall, he was totally the enforcer on that team. He was like a Draymond type. Remember, who I liked, who was a tough player like that? Remember Junkyard Dog, Jerome Williams? Also Georgetown. They played, I think, as I recall, someone similar. I don't totally remember Michael Graham. But that Georgetown team, by the way, Georgetown leaned into it. They liked to intimidate people. They wanted to scare the other team. You didn't think you'd get a shot off against that team because they were Ewing blocked everything. So I totally understand what you're saying.
Alonzo Mourning was a really intimidating player in college. More beloved, I think, but also intimidating.
And John Thompson was unbelievably intimidating.
Of course.
He was bigger than every other coach, had that deep voice. So I think they sort of played into that a little bit. You're absolutely right. There was obviously undertones, but they were a legitimately intimidating team.
John Thompson, I mean, people leaving racist things on his front lawn.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a whole other part of that was, part of the story.
I think the Graham thing, why he's a little more infamous, I think, as a villain was, I mean, he got essentially thrown off the team. Like he played 1 year as a freshman and was suspended and then had to go to play D2. And we didn't see him again until he was in the NBA for a hot minute with the Seattle Sonics. So it was like, wow, this guy, he was almost too rough and tough for even the toughest team in college basketball.
We can put this up on the poll. Maggie and Perloff, greatest college basketball villains. We didn't extend it to coaches or anything like that, but you're welcome, or the women's side, but you're welcome to take it in whatever direction you want to take it. We also have up on our social media right now, the voting is open, Perloff, for the Maggie and Perloff One-Hit Wonders March Madness bracket. We are in the last call. Did I say cruising? We're in the last call. No, we're in cruising. We're in the cruising region right now. Last call was yesterday, where number 1 seed Take On Me by Aha is right now in a dogfight against 16-seeded I Just Died in Your Arms.
Wow.
Guys, got to go vote here. The Maggie and Perloff bracket of one-hit wonders. Coming up, more NFL stars on the move. Got the latest for you next. It's Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
If you want the definition of all in, well, it's not the Dallas Cowboys. It's the New York Jets. Say welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Perloff, you've got to be all in if you're the Jets because year one of Aaron Rodgers went so sideways. Now, they still won some games, but Rodgers goes down 4 snaps into the season, and now you basically have 1 year of Rodgers. I know he said more, but you really can't bank on a lot more than what this season, this upcoming season will be. Rodgers has done all this crazy rehab to try to speed up his timeline and everything coming back from the Achilles. They've already, taken a flyer and signing Tyron Smith, the former left tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. The latest is Mike Williams, who signed with the team yesterday, obviously from the LA Chargers.
I'm not sure Tyron Smith is a flyer because a lot of teams still want him. I know he's 33. They didn't pick him up off the trash heap. I think they gave him real money. They have no choice. This is not how you want to build a team. Exactly as you said, Maggie. They have 1 year of Rodgers. You have to go all in here. You have no choice. Your coach is going to get fired if you don't get to the playoffs. Your GM is going to get fired if he doesn't get to the playoffs. Your quarterback's 40 years old.
Yep.
They are pinned in this situation. No team wants to sign a bunch of 33-year-olds. It's not how you build a champion. They have no choice. So they are such a fascinating team because they're old. They're coming off injuries. And yet, even though I vowed never to be in on the Jets again, I think it could all come together and they could be a really good team. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think I almost want you to slap me right now because I feel like I'm being fooled again. Crazy.
We are on a live stream.
This is all bad franchise building. Getting old, overpriced guys is not what you want to do. That being said, it could be a little bit of a Rams all-in type of season. I think they could be actually really good if 2 out of all 3 these older veterans play, if they get 67% of these free agents to actually hit, and Aaron Rodgers is on the field, they're going to be a dangerous team because the defense is still great.
No, I get it. There is something definitely that is tantalizing about this, but you are now asking 3 people who have dealt with injuries, which is Mike Williams, who's coming off of a season where he tore an ACL and only played 3 games. You're talking about Tyron Smith, who has injuries just as virtue of being a little older in his career. And you're telling me that 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers coming off an Achilles, that all of a sudden through 17 games, plus the playoffs, that this is going to be able to hold up. I just can't believe that it's going to. Now, I'm not saying that this was all a big waste of time for the Jets. Not that at all. I think you are going to be competitive if Rodgers is upright and healthy. But this feels like it's so rare that this actually works. Mm-hmm. It's so rare that this actually works. And I know we saw Tom Brady move teams and win a Super Bowl, and Matthew Stafford, switch teams into a Super Bowl, but again, that is really the exception and not the rule here. And while I applaud what the Jets are doing because, listen, no one will argue, you're making your team better, I just don't think this is going to be enough.
Yeah.
I don't believe that these teams are going to hold up. Now, as a Bills fan, am I scared to death that these wide receivers are going to absolutely roast the Bills secondary? Definitely. So I'm not saying I'm not scared of what the Jets are doing. I'm just saying if you ask me to put an all-in team and make them a Super Bowl or bust team, no doubt, I'm going to pick bust over Super Bowl.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I just like the formula of beefing up some other signings, too, to beef up their offensive line. Now, an interesting thing, too, they sit at 10. They could get Brock Bowers will likely fall to Georgia star tight end. You could add another weapon for Rodgers. I would still go left tackle because what if you get a decent left tackle in the rookie? I know rookie left tackles are not all that, but Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, 33 years old, give a little bit even more depth there. Then maybe you could survive a couple injuries. Mike Williams, you could get a receiver. You'd probably need another receiver in the second round because he's injury prone. I just think there are things you can do to ensure this. Bottom line, if Rodgers isn't healthy, none of it works. Yeah. If Rodgers is healthy, it works. That's what I think it comes down to.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, here's the other thing about getting second-round wide receivers. How's that worked out for Joe Douglas? Both guys are not on the team. What is it? What do we want? Mims? I don't know if he was a second rounder. Elijah Moore,
second rounder.
These guys aren't even there.
Yeah, but
they couldn't even make it work with this coaching staff and this general manager.
The general rule is second round receivers are pretty good though.
Not for the Jets.
Yeah, but I mean he can break that
so many
trend.
times. I mean, going back to
that's two.
The guy, no, but even before, the guy from Ohio State, I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah.
Then there was
Curtis Samuel.
No, not good.
Yeah.
Somebody was awful. I can't. Was his name Devin Smith? Maybe was that his name?
He's out of the league already.
Yeah, and then famously they had the guy from Stephen Hill from Georgia Tech, a massive bust who ran a super great 40. He was a terrible Jet.
Sorry to interrupt you. I was willing to overlook that because those weren't Joe Douglas picks. I'm talking about the ones with the people in the building who are making the decisions have not shown an aptitude to be able to do that, and so they've had to be a team. Besides Garrett Wilson, who is awesome, and Sauce Gardner, who's awesome. So you got one good offensive player and one really good defensive player as far as your draft is concerned. And Joe Douglas has been dining out on that for a while. Everything, the other difference makers, for the most part, have been brought in the team in other ways.
Sometimes a guy like Tyron Smith, who was wearing out in Dallas, got hurt a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a guy that a lot of contenders are going to say, wow, we should have made that move. Definitely. I was actually surprised. That one has me excited. He does get hurt. I understand that. But that move stands out from all the... Mike Williams, I think the whole league knew he's a gigantic injury risk. The Jets were willing to take a flyer. I don't hate that move, but I'm not sure how impactful it is. But to me, man, if they shore up left tackle and he gets out on the field, even at 70%, he is darn good.
No,
that one and Morgan Moses has been very durable though, on the other side. I think they've done the best things that they can do this offseason.
Where was this last year? I mean, maybe you get more than four snaps out of Aaron Rodgers if you did this.
Two high picks on the line, Elijah Vera Tucker, and Becton was healthy at the beginning of the year, wasn't he?
I mean, he played, but he was awful. He just was. I mean, he's coming off 2 years where he'd been hurt, so I don't know if that was part of it, but he was not good last year.
There were expectations. He was a top 12 pick. I mean, I think there was reason to.
They thought he was going to be a star.
So I kind of like.
They traded up to get Vera Tucker too.
I like what they did. I said I would never be pulled back in, but one thing too
is it the Mike Williams that pulled you back in?
No, it's Tyron Smith.
Oh, gotcha.
Do you think it's too? I think they've done a nice job of getting rid of some of the Aaron Rodgers distractions in the news cycle. Maybe it doesn't matter.
We were just talking about him possibly running for vice president last week.
That feels like months ago now that they signed all these guys. And do you think that maybe the two? Not a coincidence. They all of a sudden sign some old guys, maybe have some positive headlines about the Jets, pay a little bit more for Mike Williams just so people aren't talking about Aaron Rodgers and vice president.
I mean, again, it will always be something because it's the Jets and Rodgers. And this has turned out to be one of the near perfect marriages in terms of a team that at times can't get out of its own way in terms of distractions, and a player who openly courts this kind of thing and loves seeing himself in the news.
One historical note: Brett Favre hit it big in his second year, had an MVP type season when he left Green Bay. So Aaron Rodgers seems to be following totally in the footsteps of Brett Favre. Went to the Jets like Favre, went sort of off the rails like Brett Favre in his retirement.
In a different kind of way.
Later in his career. I mean, Brett Favre obviously had some very ugly accusations about stealing from welfare funds. Regardless, I mean, it has worked. Favre did it late in his career in the right situation. This could end up working. I'm surprised people are talking about it. He still has Hackett is still there, right? That's amazing to me.
Hackett will never leave. Hackett's like the Supreme Court, man. He's wherever Rodgers is. This guy's got a lifetime appointment. He's just got a job because and the thing is, what's crazy about it is I would actually like to know what Hackett's really doing. Because I think Rodgers is changing a lot at the line of scrimmage, and I think he's basically calling the offense. And I think Hackett is there to play gold member and mess around with fart jokes.
In those 4 plays, he called the offense. What are you talking about? When is this offensive play calling happening?
Well, I think everybody has a lot of pressure this year on the Jets, but I think Hackett probably has the most individual pressure of anybody on the Jets because Saleh, he can get fired, but he's going to get another job as a coordinator somewhere. Joe Douglas get fired, he'll be in another front office somewhere. He's very good with drafts. Aaron Rodgers is going to Hall of Fame, all these guys will be fine relatively, even if this doesn't work out this year. If Nathaniel Hackett in that offense is once again the reason why the Jets don't advance, he's not getting another NFL job. This is all lit for him. Because Aaron Rodgers is not going to be around anymore, so there's not going to be a reason to keep him around. Because Aaron Rodgers will be either playing with the Jets or playing with somebody else. If this doesn't work for Nathaniel Hackett, it is over for him.
I think you have overlooked one crucial thing about Nathaniel Hackett. He is already overachieved. This is clearly son of a coach nepo. I mean, he was the Bills' offensive coordinator, guys. It wasn't good.
He's well liked though. He'll get a lower job because everyone loves having Nathaniel Hackett. And remember, he was a breakdancer in college. What's his background or something?
He does a hip-hop dance class.
Yeah, he's fun.
Give me a break.
Everyone loves Nate Hackett. I saw him at Hard Knocks talking about 80s cartoons. He's a good dude.
Well, that's the thing.
I thought that guy, I want that guy in my locker room calling.
No. I have him lower down on my coaching staff, but he seems a nice guy.
This is how dry and boring these NFL position meetings must be. Is that Nathaniel Hackett is a sought-after commodity simply because he lightens the room.
Can I ask you a question about that, both of you guys? At that, because these meetings are early. We're not talking about they're meeting at 3 p.m. I mean, sometimes you're talking about 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Do you want the leader of a work meeting coming in, ask you trivia questions about Austin Powers and...
Oh, I'm sure they love it because it's different.
I would hate that. Because I'm like, I don't want to be up this early. A lot of people have been dealing with kids at home, and I gotta come home. This Joker is making jokes about 007. I'd be like, put on the film of the Bills, okay? Like, we don't have time for this. It's too early in the morning.
EJ, you literally are the executive producer of a morning show.
No, but I don't come into our work meetings being like, so guys, I have a trivia question for you.
I'll do 6 minutes of Boston Power trivia right now if you want to. If you want to start throwing the gold member trivia around, I'm here, baby.
Oh, I would hate.
We're doing a bracket of one-hit wonders. It doesn't get more sunny than that.
No, but it's the concept. That's the presentation of what we're doing on the show. We're behind the closed doors. We're getting ready to play against the Cincinnati Bengals in a big game. It's 8 a.m. in the morning. This guy's talking about Austin Powers. I'd be like,
8 a.m. That's like lunch for them.
Get this guy out of here. I don't want to. What are you doing?
It brings up an interesting question. In Austin Powers 2, who played Felicity Shagwell, Austin's second girlfriend?
Heather Graham.
Correct.
Yes.
Well, Liz Hurley was the girlfriend in the first one, right? Am I imagining?
Yes. We need a little more of this and a little less Browns off season.
Yeah, we were just breaking down the offensive line depth of the Jets. I think if Hackett wants to call in and give us a gold member trivia question every day, I'm all for it. And I think being liked is important in these rooms. Here's the thing: the Jets. We're getting the same argument we had the Browns. Nobody thinks the Jets are a Super Bowl contender anymore, do they? Oh no!
Why is Rodgers there if you're not a Super Bowl
You guys keep
contender?
saying this, but everyone knows that was the expectations had to lower on the Jets. It can't be like last year. It cannot be.
I think the way Perloff thinks of Super Bowl contenders is actually probably the correct way, but I don't think that people realistically look at it that way. It's the fan bases of those teams.
But nationally, I think everyone was on the Jets last year. They have to have learned their lesson this year, right? I'm asking. I don't know.
You haven't.
Last year I was looking at them in the Super Bowl. Now I'm looking at them as a playoff team. I've lowered it a little bit.
Because of Rodgers?
Yeah, just because they were so bad last year. So I think it's like, okay, they were 7-10 last year. They go 11-6 with Rodgers. Hey, that's not so bad to me.
No. Can't be. Can't be because Rodgers, this could be the last year. And two, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but this is something that adds to the expectations. Rodgers put it out there that he is superhuman rehab guy. If you're superhuman rehab guy and you are blowing away timelines, you're on the cutting edge and everyone's been doing it wrong and now you're doing it right, or whatever the implication was. I know he didn't say that exactly, but the implication was I'm doing the research and I'm the one who's going to get back on the field in 6 weeks or whatever he was doing. And when you put that out there, I think the expectation remains the same.
No one takes that superhuman Achilles stuff. Everyone takes that with a grain of salt. There are 3 teams with legit pressure next year. The Niners, the Ravens, and probably your Bills. The Jets do not. The Jets just need to have some success. I think you got to lower the expectation at some point. No. You're telling me Super Bowl or bust for the New York Jets?
Absolutely.
They haven't sniffed the Super Bowl since Joe Namath was there.
I think if you are paying anywhere above $48 million a year for your quarterback, I should say 45. It should be 45. $45 million a year or up for your quarterback, you better be a Super Bowl contender.
And, can't be Super Bowl bust.
Not kind of like a C.J. Stroud or someone who's on a rookie deal. I'm talking about if you have one of those super high-paid quarterbacks, absolutely you should be a Super Bowl contender.
To go with Perloff's point, if they were really, truly Super Bowl or bust, they would have changed the coach.
Yeah, I mean...
They're a bad organization.
Also,
you know that.
I don't think most of these expensive quarterbacks are Super Bowl or bust. I mean, Justin Herbert, there's no Super Bowl or bust for the Chargers this year. Everyone knows that they have to clean up the mess that was left there before with Brandon Staley. I think that's a 2 or 3 year time frame. I mean, if the Chargers make the AFC title game, no one's going to say, oh, man, what a disappointing year for Jim Harbaugh. Come on.
No, but this is the quality of quarterback, and if you're paying him that much, that means that's a real thing. You have really decided and committed to that quarterback being a rising tide. I think you absolutely should have a Super Bowl aspiration.
Oh, okay. If Atlanta Falcons make the NFC title game, they will hold a parade down the main street of Atlanta, if there is a main street in Atlanta. That'd be a huge accomplishment. I just think all these situations are way different. And right now, we just read the players and the injuries. How can you be Super Bowl or bust when you are basically an old folks home?
This is the life they've chosen. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227.
They would have a parade in front of CNN. Yeah. There's like a main road, I think, right by CNN.
Yeah, right by the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
That's a fun building. You can kick field goals in there, like as fans. I almost knock someone's coffee out of their hands.
The Coca-Cola Museum is there too, and if you want to have fun drinking as much soda as you possibly could, go there because
how much free samples are they giving out?
Unlimited. You can go to this room and it's just a bunch of sodas from all over the world. Coke products, other kind of products you never heard of, and they give you a sample cup, and you just go to, it's like a soda machine. You just go and you just, I mean, I didn't have lunch because of how full I was drinking soda.
It is a underrated
experience.
Yes,
that's cool.
Wait,
I didn't know about that.
What else do they have? So they got Coke.
They got Cokes from like Japan.
Okay.
They have all these other sodas that aren't Coke. They have their brands names you never heard of, and some of them taste amazing.
Wait, can I get a can of Coke? It's all fountain sodas.
They're all fountain.
Nah.
What's wrong with fountain?
I'd rather have the can of Coke.
Oh, fountain all day.
Yeah,
fountain's great.
And everything.
By definition, better. It's like tap beer.
Yeah, exactly.
I like a can of Coke, especially in a foreign country. It's way syrupy.
You like a can better than a bottle? I'd say
the glass bottle. I never see the glass bottle anymore.
Fountain 1, glass bottle 2, can 3, and I like cans too. By the way, if you're in Atlanta, there's one central highlight of that city, and that is on Techwood Drive where Charles Barkley and Shaq are sitting. That's the highlight of the city, is that they do inside the NBA there, right? I mean, we all agree on this.
That's the number one.
That's a number one draw.
Destination.
I think you could do tours of that building too.
So, for example, like if you go to this place, you can get a soda called Beverly, which is an Italian soda. Is non-alcoholic, obviously. Is not even sold in the market. It's only available at this place.
Wow. It's probably too much sugar to be legal in America. That does sound amazing.
There's nothing in this country that is too much sugar that would be illegal. We run on sugar in this country.
But foreign sodas have more sugar, right? That's another thing.
Probably.
Mexican soda is crazy amount of sugar.
No, it is really syrupy, but think about what you're saying. Like, there's nothing in this country that's not too sugary.
There's also a soda here from Zimbabwe called Sparletta Sparberry. What does it taste like? Raspberry cream soda.
Huh.
Caffeine free, is available exclusively in several countries across Central and Southern Africa. and it dates back to 1955. These are the kind of sodas you can have. If
Wait,
you go to the
can I ask a question?
Yes.
Internal question. Are you guys Dr. Pepper fans or Coke fans? If I gave you the choice.
I'm not crazy about Dr. Pepper.
Perloff loves it.
Dr.
But
Pepper by far.
I bought Perloff a Dr. Pepper once, just like in a night. I was ordering some lunch when we were doing the afternoon show, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy Perloff a Dr. Pepper. Arrives, he looks at it, he goes, Diet Dr. Pepper. He wouldn't drink it. Would not drink it.
I stand with Perloff there.
Gave him a free soda.
You can't say you're going to give somebody soda and then you give them diet soda without asking them.
No, I like the diet. I'm a diet Dr. Pepper.
I gave him a regular. And he was like, I want diet. And he wouldn't drink the regular.
No, you can't do that.
Oh.
Can't do that.
I bought you a soda.
I don't drink soda. I only drink diet soda, like everybody else. Diet Coke is a huge selling thing.
Soda.
Yeah, I don't know. It just makes me feel less guilty if I have the diet soda. I know it probably doesn't even work, but I feel better about myself if I have a diet Dr. Pepper than a Dr. Pepper.
There's something about a Dr. Pepper, though. Like, no hate for, like, between Coke or Dr. Pepper, but there's something about a Dr. Pepper cold with like a lunch. It's incredible.
Don't you feel like it gets pushed on us a little too much during college football season?
Yeah, it does.
Fansville?
It does. It does. With that mascot. Don't they have that mascot? Or whatever.
Yeah, they have a lot going on.
Yeah, but it's great. And that Coca-Cola factory, I went there a few years ago. It's all that's right near the new arena over there, I believe.
Yes. Mercedes-Benz, I think.
Mercedes-Benz.
Where the Falcons play?
Yeah, in that same area.
That area
it's
is
fun.
really cool. There's a big Ferris wheel. Like I like Atlanta.
Another
Which is why Kirk
time,
probably went.
we're going to have to talk about the sham and the just grift that is caffeine-free sodas and coffees.
Ugh,
Might as well not make them.
Exactly.
No, it's just-
Why?
You know how EJ gets depressed about talking Austin Powers early in the morning? I get depressed talking about decaf soda. That's terrible.
Like, I love ginger ale, but I won't do it because what's the point, guys?
Oh, ginger ale,
the
though.
point?
You got
ginger ale,
upset stomach. It's allegedly supposed to help you.
All right. Well, okay.
I believe the urban myth. I do. drink
Totally.
ginger
Someone's
ale, though.
doubled over in pain. Have you tried a ginger ale? That's my first
Your
go-to
appendix
line.
is exploding. Here's a little fizzy water for you. Yes, it's sham. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up, the Maggie and Perloff one-hit wonder bracket. We've got some early returns for you, major upsets in the works. We'll get that to you next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. Real quick news item. Marvin Harrison Jr. pro day today. I was all set. 11 to 12 Eastern, I believe. Watch Marvin Harrison run a blazing 40. Apparently he's doing absolutely nothing at his pro day. Zero, zip, zilch. Caleb Williams, meanwhile, will be throwing up a storm. That sounded wrong. At his USC pro day.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't think he's going to be nervous. He knows he's going to Chicago, which begs the question, why is Caleb Williams working out? Everyone knows he's going number one. Marvin Harrison not working out. I am old school. I don't believe the 40 means anything. You can actually clock these guys on the field. But I do wonder if there's this perception out there that Marvin Harrison Jr. is a bit of a weirdo. I've kind of getting that vibe from this dude that he might be, I don't know, maybe just a little different. I mean, he's breaking convention here by not working out at either the combine or pro day. Most receivers do something.
I mean, my natural connection would be, do you think his father is telling him don't do this? Like, you have so much college tape. You have so much excellent college tape. Everyone knows who you are.
Yeah.
You would have went top 5 in last year's draft. There's really nothing Marvin Harrison has to do. Now, you're right. You could say the same thing about Caleb Williams, but I think quarterbacks are maybe judged a little bit more. Even if you're not going to do stuff at the combine, you do have to do the pro day. Also, the quarterbacks may have like they owe it to their wide receivers to also
Jerry
show
Rice's
them off.
kid will be there,
Right,
but there's no way. I mean, also the quarterbacks have an easy job. You can't. I know. Teddy Bridgewater had a bad pro day. There's no way.
Only person in history I think who's ever had a bad pro day.
You're in shorts throwing deep passes. It does not matter. There's no downside here for Caleb Williams. He's going to look fine. Marvin Harrison did have some downtime. If he ran a slow 40 and teams are, I don't know, should I go with LSU's Malik Nabers or Marvin Harrison? I know it's stupid, but there are a lot of old school brains in the NFL, Maggie.
I get that, but of all the things to break a tie between these two guys, the 40 time would be the absolute dead last. That would be A through double Z of what I would use to break the tie between these guys. I want to know about work ethic. I want to know about how they are in the locker room. I want to know about their medicals. I want to know about a million other things before their 40 time. If we're talking about two all-time awesome wide receivers in college, Marvin Harrison and Malik Nabers.
I think speed's a question with Marvin Harrison. I think he's super fast, but is he, when you think about him, you think of a big body. Is he a possession receiver or a dual threat where he can take the top off the muffin, as they say?
Probably depends on what team he goes to, you know?
I'm watching too much draft analysis because they are turning Malik Nabers out of LSU into a guaranteed superstar. Daniel Jeremiah and all. It's amazing how many times, and you've read the same things. Yeah. Have you seen a guy pushed up like this in recent memory to be number? We thought Marvin Harrison was the easiest number one wide receiver at all the time. Now Nabers is getting so many headlines.
I think we're so used to now wide receivers coming in and being good right away. I think most people believe both are going to be good. And that's not how we look at quarterbacks. Quarterbacks like, all right, let's look at the percentages here. Like not all of you are going to hit. Whereas the wide receivers, I think we believe a lot of them hit.
Yeah, but not necessarily the first rounders, though. I think remember that one with Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy? That was nothing but bust.
But Ruggs probably would have been good had he not gotten in trouble.
I don't think he did much before he got in trouble. I think actually it's funny because I think the second round is where you get DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown and all these. Terry McLaurin was a third rounder. This draft is supposed to be super deep with wide receivers. Maybe you get a star in the second round as well. Regardless, if you want to watch Ohio State's pro day, don't anymore. There's nothing to see here.
Well, the other part is it looks like now, I know you mentioned that Daniel Jeremiah mock draft, quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, 4, with the Vikings trading up to get J.J. McCarthy.
And number 13, Michael Penix. So that would be 5 quarterbacks. And we have a bet here with EJ and I, 4.5 is the over-under. If it goes over 4.5, I win the bet, and Pipilotti makes EJ run gassers.
Yeah, 4.5 quarterbacks in the first round.
I also could win the bet, and you have to run gassers. Let's put the other part of it.
Could be. Are there any? What if there's a Taysom Hill type? A Taysom Hill type in the first round who's a half a quarterback? It could be a push.
Who would that be? I was wondering about that too. Is there any? There really isn't a player like that this year.
There's always that wide receiver who played quarterback in high school.
Oh yeah.
What's the guy? Who's the guy in Atlanta that got a great arm? Help me out. We talked about
Mohamed Sanu?
Yeah, Mohamed Sanu. Yeah. Wasn't he a quarterback? He got it.
Antoine Randall played quarterback in college, and was a wide receiver in the NFL.
I'm going to argue that if anybody does a halfback option, they're a quarterback, and I win the bet. No. So 1, 2, 3, 4 never happened.
Nope.
Never happened. We'll see. It's just a mock draft. That'd be good for me, though.
It'd be a mock draft, but also we know the Vikings are making moves to get that. They did make a move to get a second first rounder, in theory, to trade up to try to get a quarterback. They have Sam Darnold for $10 million. Good luck with all that. A couple other things. There is still time to join our March Madness brackets. Now, you can participate in the show in a couple different ways, whatever your sort of whatever suits your fancy. You can either do the actual basketball stuff with us, which our pal Nick in Texas runs the Pearl Jam Season 3, CBSSports.com. It's on our socials. EJ, maybe we can give that a retweet right now just in case. Go and find us, and if you want to say you beat 2 national radio hosts in an NCAA tournament bracket, odds are you're going to be able to say that because Perloff and I are not great at this.
Not this year, Maggie. We're coming. No. I feel strong about my bracket.
I'm feeling okay about mine. Anyway, so you can go and play along with us, and that's a lot of fun. If you want to do something a little different outside of basketball, we have the Maggie and Perloff bracket of one-hit wonders. Today we released the Cruising Region with number 1 seed Take On Me by Aha. Lots of fun one-hit wonders there. You can go to our Twitter handle at Maggie and Pearl. You can vote. Whatever you vote on, that's what moves on to the next round.
This is unbelievable. It's a field of 64 or 68.
Yeah, 64.
I feel like they're 40 number 1 seeds. There's so many good one-hit wonders. And I kind of love all these songs. There's a bunch of bangers here.
Absolutely. Bilotti said this is basically his Spotify playlist. So we didn't know you were so into one-hit wonders like Video Killed the Radio Star. But there you are. That is a 14 seed.
I almost feel like there needed to be us being scientific, haha. But there almost needed to be a more scientific way to see these songs, because the amount of upside down upsets we're seeing makes me feel like we underestimated some 16 and 15 seeds.
Well, we had 2 major upsets the first day in the weddings bracket. We had a 15 seed win and a 16 seed.
It does feel like this skews towards the years 1982 through 1985, which had me wondering about the industry at that point. Basically, they gave you one song and said, get out of town.
And then you developed a raging cocaine habit, and we never heard from you again.
867-5309. How many of these songs were all right around 1984? It's amazing. Like, I can't name a song like that. There used to be, and also there's no radio like there used to be necessarily. Like, rock stations have spread out, and I don't know. Everyone listens to Spotify. It doesn't lend itself to one-hit wonders anymore.
So let me tell you the upsets from the weddings round, weddings region. So that was number 16 seeded Tainted Love took out My Sharona. And number 15 seed Pump Up the Jam took out second seeded Groove Is in the Heart. So there's major upsets here. We also had 11 seeded Funky Town, a landslide over Got to Be Real. And that was just the first day.
I don't think people knew Got to Be Real when you sing it. You're like, oh, I know that song. But Got to Be Real itself. Got to be. No. I don't remember. Got to Be Real. I don't even remember how it goes.
Sing it.
It's in Guardians of the Galaxy, right? I can't. It's one of those songs. Yeah, I can't do that one.
Pump Up the Jam. That was a 15 seed, you said?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And they won, and they advance on. They will, in the second round, face 7-seeded Teach Me How to Dougie. Lots going on in the Maggie and Perloff show bracket of one-hit wonders. So again, I've already released now 3 regions. Weddings. Yesterday was last call region. Today, cruising region. Tomorrow is our final region, and that is the turn it up region.
What does cruising region mean? Does anybody?
In your car.
You play in the car.
All right, because cruising can mean something else too. I believe.
Swinging. It's the swinging reason.
I don't know. Maybe that's what people do at parties like that.
Well, we did have Afternoon Delight.
Afternoon Delight is in the cruising region.
That was in the cruising region.
Sex and Candy also in the cruising region.
Yeah, okay, I get the theme here.
Stacey's mom.
Because you want to pump out Video Kill the Radio Star when you're cruising.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah, when you want to get romantic, you put the bugles on, Pete.
Right. That's right.
Or are they the Buggles? I don't even
Buggles. Life is a highway, turns out. One-hit wonder. Dexter Henry is here. He's got headlines. Good morning.
All right. Got some college hoops. Last night was the first 4. Wagner and Colorado State, they're moving on to the first round. Both play schools. They won in that game on the first round on Tuesday, so they'll be moving on, as I said. Also, what happened today? MLB season opened today. Perloff did not care. Dodgers and Padres in Seoul, Korea. But there were scary moments before the first game of the season. According to a major South Korean news agency, Shohei Ohtani was the target of a bomb threat that is being viewed as a hoax after authorities could not locate any explosives at Seoul's Gocheok Sky Dome. That was the location of Wednesday's MLB season opener between the Dodgers and the Padres. Now, the stadium, guys, was searched by 150 police officers, bomb-sniffing dogs, and X-ray detectors. However, no suspicious objects were found, according to a Seoul police statement.
Man, that's scary, though.
Yeah, scary stuff.
Eey.
Got the game, got in. No winnings for Pete, unfortunately.
The Dodgers won, but Pete lost his bet that Ohtani was going to homer.
And he'll hit 2 home runs tomorrow. Watch.
That's probably what will happen.
You got to double down.
The camera panned all the broadcasters and all the attention on Shohei. There was a gigantic Japanese team of broadcasters. Like, that was a big. You could feel the Shohei attention just watching it without sound.
And I kind of forgot because MLB did a good job on their Instagram of reminding us that this is also like a matchup of 2 legends because Yu Darvish has never faced Shohei Ohtani ever.
Yep.
Which is incredible that hasn't happened yet. So this was the first time they faced off against each other. It was the first game you're playing in Asia. I'm sure that also was a big draw as well.
Yeah, huge draw there. Speaking of big matchup in the NBA tonight. It's the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference. They will battle when the Bucks visit the Celtics. Milwaukee star Damian Lillard, he says that his team will be ready for the road challenge.
That's what we got to take into Boston because there's definitely going to be some moments in that game where the crowd is going to get into it. They're going to go on the run. We're going to have to call a timeout. And, I think we showed that that's definitely something that we can carry into that game.
The crowd will be into that one, 7:40 tip in Boston tonight. Now, the Clippers, they're going to look to end a 2-game skid in Portland tonight. Heading into this matchup with the Blazers, Clips coach Tyronn Lue says his squad is still confident.
Nothing to overreact to. Like the guys in the locker room, they understand what we need to do. Our coaching staff, we understand what we need to do. If we want to get out of this, if we want to be a team, doing something special in the playoffs.
Perloff, we talked about the Pelicans. Right now, the Clips, they sit at 4th in the Western Conference. They're just a half game ahead of the Pels.
I can't believe it. I mean, you don't think of them as a contender in any real way, do you? It's hard to get used. It's hard for me to get used to the Thunder and the Pelicans. I still think the old guys become way more dangerous in the postseason.
Yeah, but I mean, the Clippers may be fading.
Yeah. Not those old guys. The
okay.
the other old guys.
Gotcha.
I'm still. We got to do a show bet, and I'm curious, Dexter, what do you think? If I gave you the Thunder and the Pelicans, who goes further, the Warriors or the Lakers? Those two teams.
We're also
versus the other two
we're
teams.
assuming that the Warriors and Lakers, either of those, get out of the
Oh
play
yeah,
round.
that's a problem with this bet.
Yeah.
One of them won't. Like if they're
if they're 9-10.
Yeah.
That's an issue.
I think to answer your question, I would say it all depends on if they avoid Denver. Because I think if either of those teams play Denver, they're not winning. That's not happening.
Yeah, who gets knocked out by Denver? Good point.
I think that matters. Keeping it into the NBA, you guys talked about this earlier this week, right? NBA players, Grady Dick, Anthony Black, they had that jersey swap that we saw earlier. So reporters asked Grady Dick, why did he do the swap? Because some people believe that it was not safe for work. And Grady Dick said, that's been my guy in terms of Anthony Black for a long time. Guys jersey swap with their boys, and that's my friend. Then he was asked if he had any other jersey swaps planned. And he said, sure, if I played against them and they're my guy, I'll do the swap with them. Nothing more to it. Guys, are you buying this?
No.
No.
And Grady Dick clearly has first of all, if your last name is that, you have to have a sense of humor. Because I'm sure life was not that easy for you because it's so low-hanging fruit, right? You've gotta have a sense of humor, and I think he's been waiting on this stuff.
If you wear a draft suit the way
Yes.
Grady Dick did, I
Yes.
mean, that alone showed me, okay, this guy is a prankster. This guy he's a troll,
His
which I didn't
suit-
know because he wasn't like college basketball. He was not one of these villains we're talking about. He was kind of anonymous. He was a great player, but then he comes in with a
ruby red sequins,
sparkling sequin suit and a bow tie. I believe was also a part of that thing. I mean, once I saw that, I thought, okay,
character.
anything can happen with this guy. So no, I don't believe him.
Yeah.
He was a pretty big recruit. I remember.
Big time recruit for sure. I mean, when I say anonymous, I mean not infamous like J.J. Redick and Grayson Allen. He was a good player that didn't really, PO people. Like now we know he likes jersey swaps. A little too much.
Convenient jersey swaps, I'll say. He knew what he was doing. I'm with you.
You guys remember my big plan. I have a Jalen Hurts jersey over there, and I want to get a Jordan Love jersey and put Love Hurts behind me, but I cheaped out and didn't buy the Jordan Love jersey. But I should do that because look at all the attention that Grady Dick's getting.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Sure. Love Hurts.
By the way, Love Hurts.
Anthony Black and Grady Dick swapping jerseys, same.
One of my biggest regrets from our time in Vegas was I tried to get Zach Gelb after the concert that Perloff was at, the Green Day concert. I wanted to recreate the jersey swap picture from those two guys in the Las Vegas casino, and he wouldn't do it. Remember the two random guys?
Oh,
that
okay.
It wasn't actual jersey. They just took their Vegas shirts and just hung it up. And they just held it next to each other in like the casino. You guys have never seen this? This is like an infamous meme. There were two guys.
They were sitting at the same blackjack table or something?
I guess so. And I guess they both did well. So they took off their Vegas, very like Versace like shirts.
Okay.
And just held it up in the
like
casino.
a jersey swap.
And I said, this is going to be a great moment. We should do this. And Zach was like, I'm not doing it. I was like, viral moment missed.
You were going to go shirtless in this?
Yes. It would have been so funny.
Listen, we're about to put on wrestling singlets
I'm wearing a
to go to
wrestling singlet.
WrestleMania.
Like, I'm not afraid, Perloff.
By the way, I haven't tried mine on yet.
What are you waiting for, Maggie?
I don't know. I just didn't feel like doing it yesterday or the day before or the day before or the day before.
You got to try it on because we're running out of time. If there's an issue with size, there's got to be an adjustment made. Or you're going to be wearing a singlet either too big or too small.
This is denial. I'm in denial that we're doing this and that I'm going to have to wear this to WrestleMania and EJ and I are going to be matching. I put on the headgear. My kid looked at me. He's like, what? This is going to be really embarrassing. I underestimated how stupid we're going to look. You and I were not meant to wear this kind of thing.
No.
Actual wrestlers were meant to do this, not you and me.
No, not at all.
People think like, this is a weird bet to pay off. Like we are going to look so silly.
The only silver lining in this for me is like at least I get to do the cool thing that wrestlers do, like when a Kurt Angle or one of these guys that wear singlets like is trying to like hulk up, they get to pull the straps down over their body and like kind of flex. Like at least I get to do that. That's the only moment that I'm waiting for. It's all right. When I get to do that, that'll be pretty cool.
Wow.
I'll feel like Kurt
Good
Angle
for
for a
you.
second, but the other 5 hours will be brutal.
I want you to wear the Bret Hart where it comes down to your belly button, where you're basically showing. Maggie can't do this, showing your whole chest underneath.
I mean, I could.
X-rated.
I might get banned from
Might be a viral moment.
some certain social media platform. We have been looking for a little extra pub from the show. Okay. Dexter, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Peter is in New Jersey. He's calling in about something we were talking about earlier. Perloff wants to go to a robot island.
Hello.
Hi, Peter. How are you? You there? Peter, are you there?
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Peter.
Uh-oh, the robots got to Peter.
Oh, no. This is all actually one AI simulation. Okay, coming up next. News, more news coming your way. It's coming in fast from these pro days. We get to that next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, along with more first 4 games tonight. You also have pro days going on today. 2 big ones, Ohio State and USC. Caleb Williams is going to throw. Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going to run, and that has Perloff disappointed. I think we know he's fast.
I kind of want to see his time. It's so stupid. You're right. It doesn't always follow logic. I like to know wide receivers 40 time. It says something.
Does it, though?
I don't know. When you hear a big guy like that, I think Marvin Harrison, Bruce Feldman, the Fox Sports writer, puts out his quote-unquote freak list, and he's been talking about Marvin Harrison being the biggest combination of size and speed for years now, so I want to see it.
Well, you watched him play against Michigan. How about that?
Yeah,
That's going to have to do.
You're right. That's not bad.
Okay. We are doing 2 type of March Madness things. One, you can just play along with us on a March Madness bracket. Our pal Nick in Texas does the Pearl Jam Season 3, Perl Jam Season 3. If you go to our social media account, you can follow the link there. Easy. It's free. Just play along with us and pick your bracket. We are also doing a bracket of one-hit wonders. We mentioned we did the cruising bracket today, but we have the results in from yesterday's last call region, and not the crazy upsets we saw from the wedding region where we had a 16 take out of 1 and a 15 take out of 2, but 3 big upsets in the last call region. Perloff, would you like to hear them?
Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, we had the classic 6-11 matchup where 11th seeded Closing Time took out 6th seeded Just a Friend by Biz Marquee. We also had 14th seeded Play That Funky Music White Boy take out 3rd seeded Return of the Mac. Guys, I am shocked by that. And then 10 seeded 8675309 took out Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba. So those were the 3 upsets. The favorites that move on are number 1 seed Baby Got Back, took out Hey There Delilah. 8th seeded Kung Fu Fighting took out Hey Mickey. That was a close one. 99 Luff Balloons took out Natalie Imbruglia's Torn. Who Let the Dogs Out advances over Rump Shaker. And Come On Eileen is the 2 seed. A real tub thumping of 15-seeded Relax.
So Funky Town and Play That Funky Music both advanced.
You are right.
I think, I get a sense that it's skewing towards late 70s. Some of those songs are so iconic, and how many weddings have you been at that at a certain point they become, Celebration by Kool and the Gang's not in here. That's the ultimate wedding.
Kool and the Gang had Jungle Boogie, which was another huge hit.
How could I forget?
Yeah, of course. Pretty crazy. So you can go to at Maggie and Pearl on Twitter if you'd like to vote in the cruising region. That is the number 1 seed. Aha's Take On Me is number 1 in that region. 2nd seed, Walking on Sunshine by Katrina and the Waves. So it goes on and on from there.
Very interesting. It mirrors the actual NCAA tournament, which has become so unpredictable because of one and dones. I'm not surprised. This one-hit wonder, it is March Madness in its truest form here.
Yes, we have tapped into something. So we will have our final region gets revealed tomorrow.
Yeah, there's an important question that comes out of this. Who let the dogs out, Maggie?
Who?
Who?
I can't believe I just played along with that. Strike that from the record, and please burn the tape.
I think you cannot take any topic too seriously, even the most serious topics. When you play Who Let the Dogs Out on the show, anywhere within the 4 hours of the Maggie and Perloff show, that is a statement to the world.
Also, don't you forget about me.
Don't you?
Don't you?
Not a one-hit wonder. I'm under protest. They had 2 or 3 hits that all sounded exactly like that.
I would actually kind of love it if every time we're talking about something very serious, Pete just fades up Who Let the Dogs Out.
He is a disgrace to the sports world. Who let the dogs out? Do you guys remember? Remember Sports Center? It was such a ubiquitous song, especially in the sports world. I remember. Yeah.
We're like, so-and-so arrested today on gambling charges. Like,
I remember Sports Center, they had the Baja Men in the studio. They're behind, like Kenny Mayne was giving the highlights of the baseball game. And then they go to the Baja Men would start jamming. And they kept playing. They didn't play a second song, Maggie. They just did Who Let the Dog Out on a loop.
They don't have a second song.
They have to have some other song.
There's no second song. This is why they're in our one-hit wonder
There's
bracket.
no acoustic version of Who Let the Dogs Out?
Didn't no one covered that? John Mayer?
No one's tried to cover Who Let the Dogs Out, by the way. Interesting.
Because it's the most annoying song of all time. Maybe that's why.
But as a generation passes and people don't remember it, someone's going to come out with it again. It's catchy.
I hope not. Anyway, so you can go to @Maggie and Pearl. You can vote on these. Yes, the medical records came back today, and unfortunately, the knee surgery is inevitable.
Gosh.
It is not good. It looks like a draft pick has been taken away because of an accounting error.
The worst is when the Georgia Bulldogs win a game and they play that. That's not good. That's even worse than what we're doing. By the way, strong front runner. I think that can make some noise in this tournament.
Our bracket's going to be busted. More one-hit wonders were revealed tomorrow. Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you to Pete Bellotti. Thank you to Dexter Henry. Thank you to Andrew Kaplan. Guido's Coffee Drinkers. Salute.